Willkommen zu Nerdway. Schaut sich einmal den ID at Xbox Showcase an, der noch gar nicht irgendwie dran ist. Also sollte eigentlich um 17 Uhr jetzt hier starten, aber auf der Xbox-Seite auf Twitch ist es noch nicht drauf. Ich schätze mal, das kommt wieder so kurz vor knapp, dass sie dann so eine Minute vorher das Ding da drauf packen. Und dann hast du erstmal diesen Timer von ein paar Minuten. Oder ich bin komplett auf dem Holzweg und hab einen falschen Link. Ich hoffe mal nicht. Denn das wäre natürlich doof, weil wir wollen das natürlich alles sehen. Und was werden wir denn überhaupt heute sehen? Es wurde ja schon vornherein gesagt, okay, ein paar Themen haben wir, ein paar Spielchen haben wir, die wir einmal quasi nochmal näher beleuchten wollen, die wir euch nochmal zeigen wollen. Das wäre Second Extinction, Dino-Geballer für, wenn man mich fragt, The Ascent. Dann, Kirk, jetzt geht's los hier. Xbox streamt, Special Event, jawohl. So, groß hätte ich es gerne. Perfekt. So, ja, wie gesagt, 2 Minuten vorher fangen die dann auf einmal an mit ihrem Timer. So, The Ascent wollen wir nochmal ein bisschen was sehen. The Wild at Heart wurde gesagt, wird nochmal ein bisschen was gezeigt. Wir hätten nochmal Voidtrain, wo ich mir noch nicht so ganz sicher bin, was das eigentlich wird. Das war so ein bisschen Shooter, dann hast du da irgendwo noch eine Eisenbahn zusammengebaut. Sehr, sehr strange aus. Exo One war dann eher so ein Erkundungsspielchen gewesen, das sah eigentlich ganz cool aus. Und dann natürlich ein bisschen was über Stalker 2, ja, wo es jetzt die Gerüchte gab, okay, wir kriegen neues Zeug zu sehen zu Stalker 2. Und da wurde schon ein bisschen zurückgerudert und die haben dann gesagt so, nee, wir werden vielleicht ein bisschen was drüber erzählen und vielleicht nochmal Footage zeigen, aber so richtig viel Neues werden wir wohl leider nicht zeigen können. So, was würde ich denn ganz gerne sehen? Es gibt eine Sache, die ich ganz gerne sehen würde, wo ich richtig lange schon drauf warte und ich hoffe, dass es jetzt endlich mal ein Datum gibt, nämlich 12 Minutes. Ja, das war so ein Spielchen gewesen, wo du von so eine Dropdown-Aufsicht hattest und du sitzt mit deiner Frau quasi am Esstisch, es klopft, jemand kommt rein, tötet dich, tötet deine Frau und dann geht's wieder von vorne los. Das ist so ein Zeitschleifenspielchen und wir müssen halt jetzt so rausfinden, wer ist der Typ? Was passiert da überhaupt? Und was können wir machen? Und das sieht richtig, richtig cool aus, sollte eigentlich letztes Jahr schon kommen, wurde dann auf 2021 verschoben und seitdem hast du halt nichts mehr gehört. Und da hätte ich jetzt ganz gern ein Release-Datum. Ja, mal ein Datum dafür, wann das Ding jetzt rauskommen soll. Und natürlich dann auch neues Zeug für den Game Pass. Ja, also da wird Microsoft auch sich nicht lumpen lassen und das ein oder andere noch zeigen. Ich hoffe ja auf Yakuza Like a Dragon. Wäre cool. Aber ich würde mich auch mit Last Campfire zufrieden geben. So, und der geht auch schon fast los hier. Ich mach mal hier an. Yay. ID at Xbox Showcase. Also große Titel brauchen wir nicht erwarten.
What's going on, everyone? Welcome on into the ID at Xbox Showcase right here on Twitch Gaming. Now, I am one of your co-hosts today, Story Mode Bay, and I have the honor of being joined by the incredible Trisha Hirschberger. Trisha, how are you feeling today?
Being joined by the incredible
Das ist gute Qualität. So.
No! How are you doing today?
Ja, Microsoft hat sich jetzt mit Twitch ein bisschen zusammengetan und die machen jetzt zusammen quasi diese ID at Xbox Show unter Twitch Gaming dann auch noch direkt.
We're going to talk
Ja.
about indie games. I love my indie games. So on today's show, we're going to be showcasing and celebrating indie Xbox games, right?
Ja.
And we'll have so many
12
talented
minutes.
devs joining us throughout the day to talk about their games, including, but not limited to, Among Us, Moonglow Bay, Soup Pot, Nobody Saves the World, Death's Door, and 12 Minutes. And each of our developer guests will sit down for a conversation with some of our favorite streamers and creators, including awesome folks like Kate Stark and Stallion83, Donut Age and Technique, and Blind Gamer Steve. So many fun folks. We'll also have special interviews with Chris Charla from ID at Xbox. And throughout the day, we're going to be dropping exclusive new game trailers as well. So if you're an indie games fan, this is the place to be. We'll have Victoria Tran from Innersloth. We'll be here to discuss Among Us. Gwen Foster and Trina from Chicon Club will chat their new game Soup Pot. Louis Antonio from Annapurna Interactive will get into their highly anticipated game, 12 Minutes. I cannot wait to see some of that. We've also got Graham Smith and Ian Campbell from Drinkbox Studios. They're going to be here discussing Nobody Saves the World. Zach and Lou from Bunny Hug. We'll get into all things Moonglow Bay. Mark Foster and David Fenn from Ascent. We'll talk about Death's Door. We have a packed lineup for you today, so it is going to be awesome. And as I mentioned, we will have that special interview with Chris Charla from ID at Xbox, which is awesome.
Yes. Oh my gosh, I
Ja, wir
am
sind
so
alle
excited about this. Now, before we do
excited,
get started
yeah.
with our show,
Alle mal
I
gespannt
do
drauf,
want
was
to
es jetzt
remind
gibt.
everyone at home, please sound off in the chat. We want to know what you guys think. I mean, I already see the chat moving and shaking as it is. I am super excited about this. So without further ado, I want to remind everyone throughout today's ID at Xbox at Twitch Gaming Indie Game Showcase, we will be airing exclusive new game trailers for the very first time. Some will feature gameplay updates to highly anticipated indie titles. Others will be brand new, never before seen game trailers. But that's not all we have. So make sure you stay tuned throughout the show and share your reactions in the Twitch chat. So everyone, let's go ahead and get into it. First up, we're dropping some new gameplay trailers. Let's take a look.
Yep, hau raus. Der nächste Shooter. Ich weiß nicht. Ich bin kein riesen Shooter-Fan und zurzeit gibt es halt an jeder Ecke irgendwie Shooter. Und die haben auch nur sehr wenige Veränderungen drin. Das sieht alles gleich aus. Das kannst du fast auch schon als Halo vermarkten. Ganz ehrlich, so viel Unterschied gibt es jetzt auch nicht. Es ist halt irgendwie immer wieder dasselbe. Ja gut, du hast ja diesen Greifhaken, das ist schon mal so eine nette Sache, aber es ist jetzt nicht so das, was das Genre komplett neu erfindet. Ich meine, es sieht schon cool aus, meine Reflexion und sowas auf der Oberfläche, du hast da Staub drauf, du hast da die Lichtreflexionen drauf. Das sieht schon mega geil aus, aber vom Spiel her, von der Spielmechanik her, ist es halt nur noch 15. Yay, die Transformers kommen auch noch dazu. Das sieht ein bisschen nach Transformers aus, teilweise. Ja, ich kann mir vorstellen, wenn man das mag. Ja, zurzeit ist ja wieder dieses Cyberpunk-Setting ziemlich in, oder? Überall hast du jetzt Cyberpunk-Titles. Ja, gestern hier Future Game Show gab es dann Glitchpunk. Jetzt Ascent ist ja auch schon auf Cyberpunk getrimmt. Da scheint wohl alles jetzt in die Richtung zu gehen. Ich finde es immer interessant, wie die bei solchen Spielen immer so lässig cool laufen. Aber das ist zwar auch so eine Art Shooter, aber das würde mich wahrscheinlich mehr interessieren als jetzt das davor. Exo One oder wie das hieß. Ja, da gibt es auch wieder ganz viel Gebrutzel. coole Effekte, das können halt die neuen Konsolen richtig gut. Ich meine, das konnte die Xbox One auch schon, aber mit den ganzen, ne, weißt du, jetzt Reflexionen und sowas. Das wird mir schon eher gefallen. Das sieht das so nach so einem schönen Erkundungsspiel aus, so ein Jump'n'Run mit so ein paar Rätselelemente drin. Das sieht auch eigentlich ganz knuffig aus. Okay. Ja, so ein bisschen Fantasy-Setting rein. Da bin ich dabei. Du. Schön, ja doch. Game Pass, ja, super. Kann man also direkt hier ausprobieren. The Wild at Heart. Hat einen ziemlichen komischen Stil quasi. Das hat er so ein bisschen gekritzelt, gemalt, ein bisschen ausgeschnitten, zum Paper-Look. Sieht jetzt nicht absolut scheiße aus, aber gewöhnungsbedürftig, würde ich sagen. Wird ja wahrscheinlich genug schöne Ideen drin haben, was man da machen muss. Scheint ja auch wieder so ein bisschen Rätsel lösen und Welt erkunden. Das ist Kirby. Kirby habe ich anders in Erinnerung. Ja, gibt es auch einen Film zu. Wenn man bei YouTube hier einen Trailer eingibt, The Wild at Heart, dann bekommt man auf einmal irgendwelche Trailer zu Filmen von 1980 oder sowas. Ja, na, da haben wir es wieder. Voidtrain. Wo ich mir echt nicht sicher bin, was will das Spiel von mir? Das scheint ja eher so ein Shooter zu sein, aber halt auch mit dieser Zugmechanik, dass du da diesen Zug auch so ein bisschen zusammenbaust. Ob du den halt dann brauchst, um andere Welten zu kommen und dann natürlich dann die speziellen Teile dafür brauchst, um woanders hinzukommen. Ich weiß es nicht. Es sieht halt alles tierisch surreal aus. Also ich spiele da so ein bisschen im Raum rum und dann hast du halt diesen Zug da und baust ihn halt jetzt irgendwie zusammen und gehst dann halt rum und ballerst alle Leute ab. Also da kann ich mir nicht so richtig vorstellen, was das jetzt eigentlich wird. Geht halt wieder in Richtung Shooter und das ist halt wieder nicht meins. Obwohl es halt vom Setting her schon strange ist. Strange Sachen mache ich eigentlich. Ja, bin mal gespannt.
All right, Voidtrain. I see what you're doing there. Voidtrain looked really
Ich
cool. That
nicht.
last one that we just saw. I was getting like
Yes.
a Outer Wilds meets abduction kind of vibe from that. Brianna, were there any of those trailers that particularly jumped out at you?
Yeah,
Omno.
I was
Also
kinda
von den
looking
Trailern, die
at,
jetzt
I think
gezeigt
it was
worden
called
sind,
Wild at Heart. It almost
sah
reminded
Omno
me
eigentlich am
of
coolsten
Don't
aus.
Starve a
Wo
little
ich
bit. It
sage,
looks
okay,
like
da habe
you're
ich jetzt am
trapped in
meisten
the
Bock drauf.
forest, maybe with a friend. I'm very excited. I mean, Xbox came out of the gate swinging with this showcase. I am beyond excited to see what's next up.
Oh yeah, I the first one that they showed, that Exo Mecha game, I saw some people in chat were
Exo
like,
Mecha war halt wieder so ein
"Is this like
0815
Titanfall-esque thing?" I mean, the cool
Ja, Shooter, Titanfall, Halo, alles dasselbe. Ja, natürlich. Jetzt nicht alle hauen wegen Halo oder sowas. Halo ist schon richtig cool, aber man braucht halt nebenher nicht noch 3 andere.
Like I said, I'm a big fan of indie games. I'm a big fan of the ID at Xbox program, which we'll get into a little bit later about how the specifics of the program work. But bringing all these indie games to light is what it's all about. So Omni, we got to see a trailer for, and I've gotten to play a very early build
Das
of that,
Omni
and it is
war doch
so
eher ein Omno,
adorable.
oder?
So
Das war doch
we've
2
got a
O's.
lot of fun stuff.
Egal,
coming up,
jedenfalls ein
and
cooles
a lot
Spiel.
of fun stuff here that we've seen already. It's been awesome. Brianna, do you play a lot of indie games on your Twitch channel?
I do. I kind of switch off. I mean, my favorite thing about indie games, honestly, is the art style. I am such a sucker for not only good graphics, but just visually appeasing games. And I feel like with indie games, you get so much of that. And
Ja,
also,
gibt's
by the
wirklich
way,
wunderschöne Spiele. Ich meine, Spiritfarer ist ein sehr langsames, sehr schönes Spiel. Sehr schön zum Runterkommen. Super.
I would love to hear it, and you never know, your comment could end up right here on the big screen.
Yes, I see Burnt Toast TJ, or Burnt Toast J in chat says, so great to see such wonderful support for indies. Yes, 100% yes. So yeah, that was Exo I believe Ascent was the name of the second one, Omni, The Wild at Heart, and Voidtrain there at the end.
Das finde ich ein bisschen durch, ob das jetzt Omni oder Omno war, aber es sah aus wie ein Omno.
Oh,
I
yeah,
love
Egal.
that
look
we're
at it
able
now.
to
Okay,
see
so
this
here
again.
was Exo I believe is what this one was called again. And this is the one that some
Guck mal, selbst das Fahrzeug sieht aus wie aus hier, ja, genau, wie aus Halo. Da ist nicht mehr so viel daneben. Der sieht ein bisschen aus wie bei Vanquish. Wir haben ein cooles Design aus Vanquish gepackt, noch ein bisschen Unterwasserlevel dazu, Waffen aus Halo, Fahrzeuge aus Halo und alles zusammengemischt und Dankeschön, fertig jetzt unser Shooter.
See, I'm a little funny when I play games. I'm not a huge fan of first-person shooter type games. However, the graphics are very, very nice. I mean, and it looks like it's actually there's so much going on. Like you said, you're able to go underwater. It looks like you were shooting at a helicopter in the last clip that we saw. This looks pretty good. I might have to give it a try.
I love the folks in chat right now that are so hyped for the Among Us segments coming up that they're just saying this game looks super sus. This trailer looks so sus. I get it. But yeah, that was just one of the, so that was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 trailers already shown. And like we said, we've got a packed show for you today. So lots and lots of trailers coming up. But I thought Exo looked super, super cool. That cyberpunk one, I think it was called Ascent. I think the Twitter handle was at Ascent.
That's right.
Ja.
That cyberpunk one felt very like
Ascent ist halt so, sah cool aus. Ja, aber alles wieder ein Cyberpunk-Setting gerade, aber es sah aus als ein Spiel, wo ich Bock drauf hätte.
And it didn't quite scratch the cyberpunk itch in the way that I was hoping for, so maybe this game totally could. Maybe
okay.
We'll see.
Fair
and
enough.
Omni just looks stunningly beautiful. Is Omni more the type of game you would traditionally stream?
Yeah, I would kind of look more towards Omni. Like I was saying
Anscheinend
before,
heißt es
Wild
Omni,
at Heart
obwohl es für mich aussah wie Omno, aber egal.
That captivated me and caught my eye as soon as I saw it. So I am very excited. And I like that you said that about that cyberpunk feel because, you know, some people are kind of looking for something in that genre if cyberpunk didn't exactly do it for them. So I'm excited about these.
Yeah, I see Mundane in chat says, Mundane Salad says Shadowrun is greater than Cyberpunk. You know what? You said it, not me. But I don't entirely disagree with you. Very spicy, very spicy take on there today. So folks, like I said, that was just a snippet of some of the fun that we have for you today, but let's bring in our first guest. So our first guest on today's show is the senior director of the ID at Xbox program, which has been helping independent developers self-publish their games on Microsoft's Xbox consoles for the last 7 years. And if you're wondering what types of games ID at Xbox are working on right now that will be coming soon to a console near you, well, here's a sneak peek.
Ja, haut raus. Was kommt jetzt? 12 Minutes. Sagt mir endlich, wenn das Ding rauskommt. Am besten Shadow Drop direkt. Dann lade ich es direkt runter. Never Yield. Irgendwas Japanisches da drunter. Irgendwas mit Nai, Ranai. Ja, oder sowas halt. Diese gute alte Pixeloptik, die geht halt immer noch. Die macht halt mehr Spaß, als wenn du da... Ja, ich hätte so gesagt, diesen Papercut, aber Papercut hat ja auch was. Ich meine, da hat ja jeder seine Fans von. Aber ich bin halt eher in diesem Pixeloptik drin, als jetzt sowas. Ja, so, das sieht auch wunderschön aus. Na, knuffig. Einfach noch direkt Bock, das zu spielen. Das sieht halt so nach geil 16-Bit Super Nintendo Mega Drive aus. Der Titel schon, ey. Kung Fu Generator. Aber die sagen halt auch bei den ganzen Spielen nicht, wann die Dinger rauskommen. Die sagen halt, ja, kommt bald, aber nicht wann. Okay, ist das Pokémon oder was? Mit Fotoschießen als Pokémon Snap? Das sieht aus, als würden sie Streets of Rage nachmachen in 3D. Das sieht nach einem Spiel aus, das mit dem Controller richtig übel zu spielen ist. Aber am PC sieht es geil aus. What? Was, ein Airport für Aliens, aber von Hunden? Was? Ich meine, auch solche Optik, das geht ganz klar, wenn halt auch das zum Spiel passt. Ich meine, Life is Strange hat jetzt auch nicht die mega geile, krasse Grafik. Also es ist halt auch ein bisschen runtergesetzt, das Ganze. Aber es ist halt inhaltlich richtig gut. Okay, auch schön. Als Shamet Cutie. Ich frage mich manchmal echt, was sie sich bei ihren Namen denken. Griftlands. Okay. So ein bisschen hier, wir haben Karten und damit greifen wir an. Adios. Was ist denn das für ein Titel? Adios? Bist du denn Serienkiller? Würde ich mir jetzt vorstellen. Das ist mal eine richtig interessante Katze. Onsenmaster, ja. Das ist ja großartig. Es gibt ein Spiel, wo du der Onsenmaster bist. Onsen sind heiße Quellen in Japan. Ja, wenn die Japaner einen harten Tag haben, dann gehen die abends schön in die heißen Quellen und entspannen da.
Hello, Chris. Thank you so much for joining us.
Ja, es waren wieder ein paar lustige Titel dabei, wo ich auch Bock drauf hätte.
Of course, of course. Now, for everyone at home watching that aren't already familiar with the ID at Xbox program, can you explain a little bit about how that works?
Yeah, sure. So basically, we're a program at Microsoft that enables independent developers to self-publish their games. So they come to xbox.com/ID, they sign up, they tell us what kind of game they're making, and we send them dev kits. They start development, they make the game, and then they're the publisher. We try and help amplify the promotion with things like what's happening today, and then the games come out, people play them, everybody's happy, it's awesome.
Tja, Leute, geht hin, ladet euch Unity runter, fangt an, Spiele zu bauen. Geht zu Microsoft und sagt, hier, ich habe ein Spiel, bringt das mal auf die Xbox. So läuft das.
Being brought more into the public eye in the last decade or so, and it makes it a little bit hard for some people to kind of qualify what is indeed an indie game. So I want to ask you, Chris, what are indie games all about?
Ja, es ist halt manchmal schwierig. Was ist noch Indie-Game und was nicht? Ich meine, einige Indie-Spiele, wie jetzt hier Exo One, das sieht halt aus wie AAA-Spiele.
Like a buster on the outside of my office that said indie with a little buster through it, because I was like, you know what, like I'm old, and I spent the 90s as a punk rocker arguing about what was punk and what wasn't punk, and like we don't need to do that. You know what I mean? To me, an independent game is really all about creative control. If a developer has creative control, you know, they have that independence. But, you know, we have folks in the program who are single individuals, you know, one woman, one man making a game. We have studios in the program that are hundreds of people making a game. So we don't stress about it. Like, our focus is just on helping people get their games onto Xbox, helping get them great, and then making sure that players get to see them and have a good time.
Cool.
That is incredible. Now, Chris, I'm sure there are so many amazing moments that you were able to experience throughout your 7 years with the program. But if you could pick one, what would be your proudest accomplishment?
Der Ori, oder?
You know what? I can't. The thing that like really gets both me and the whole team on ID going is really like when we're able to help a developer, like a lot of times, especially a first game, like ship that first game, and that like always feels great. Or when we're able to work with developers from like all over the world. Like we work with developers in more than 100 countries on every single continent except Antarctica is really cool. So it's hard to pick a proud moment, but maybe my favorite moment was I think it was E3. I can't remember which year, and it was right when we unveiled like the full Cuphead trailer. And I'd seen the trailer. I knew how good it was, and I'm on stage. I got the privilege of introducing the Moldenhauers, and the lights go on the Moldenhauers, and they go off me. And then the Studio MDHR logo comes up on what at the time was the largest 4K screen in existence. And I knew everybody's socks were about to get blown off. And just standing there in the dark on the stage, looking up at the Studio MDHR logo was like, I still get goosebumps. I have goosebumps right now talking about it. It was like, it was such a cool moment. It was such a cool moment for them and such a cool moment for everybody who likes to be, just excited by games. So to me, that's like, it's one of my favorite moments in my career.
Ich glaube, coolster Moment bei der E3 war eigentlich, wo die deutsche Entwicklerin von Sea of Solitude auch auf die Bühne kam und so aufgeregt war, aber das trotzdem noch so charmant rübergebracht hat. Das fand ich großartig.
So what excites you right now? Like, what's the most exciting thing about the indie game scene in 2021, in your opinion?
Just the variety. I mean, we just saw on that trailer and all through today, we're just going to see so much variety of games. And it used to be that I think when people heard the word indie game, there was this thought of like, okay, this is side-scrolling pixel art. And there's still a lot of great side-scrolling pixel art games, but there's everything from first-person shooters.
Ja, weil es halt einer der einfachsten Sachen ist für den Entwickler, der gerade startet, ist halt ein Side-Scroller-Pixel-Spiel. Nicht unbedingt das Schwierigste. Also ein Exo Mecha, wo du dann richtig schwere Texturen drauf hast, ist schwieriger zu machen.
Two devs in the Philippines. It's really, really neat. Despelote, which was just in the trailer. An airport for aliens run by dogs, where you like go around and interact with like clip art dogs that are rotating.
Ganz ehrlich, das werde ich mir mal angucken, ey. Dieses Alien-Flughafen mit Dogs. Das werde ich mir definitiv mal angucken.
Launched on Xbox and was from one person and dominated the sales charts on Xbox for like a couple weeks. It was like the #1 game on Xbox, and that is just so cool that the world today like enables that kind of thing to happen. So that's what I love. I just love the variety.
Mm-hmm. I'm always amazed learning at some of the sizes of some of these development companies. Does it blow your mind what smaller indie teams are able to create and produce in comparison to AAA companies?
Absolutely. I mean, we've seen like such great, I think we just call it like democratization of development with the rise of engines like Unreal.
Ja, das kriegen wir die ganzen Trailer nochmal. Never Yield.
Really is
Ja, Ranai, aber das vorige Stück. Die Kanjis kann ich noch nicht so gut.
How good my idea is, how good my story is. Like game developers are no longer gated by the technology as much as they were 10 and 15 years ago. So that's awesome to see. And it's also been awesome to see how things like Game Pass have enabled so many players to experience so many games. It's just really, really cool.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it is super cool. And I, for one, love being able to jump on Game Pass and try something completely new because it's worked into that program. And we will definitely see games today in the ID at Xbox program that are available on Game Pass.
Let's go Indie Devs. Ja, Leute, es ist gar nicht mehr so schwer. Vor 20 Jahren, vor 30 Jahren musstest du der mega Programmierer sein und sowas und du musstest mega viele Skills haben. Mittlerweile gibt es so viele Möglichkeiten, selbst mit wenig Erfahrung sehr viel zu machen. Du kannst ja auch auf YouTube gehen und da gibt es so viele Videos mittlerweile, wie du Videos machst, Spiele machst. Let's go. Also, Leute, geht raus und macht Spiele.
And that makes us feel really good.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Where do you think that indie games are headed next? So say in the next decade or two.
Das sieht aus wie Pokémon Snap. Ganz ehrlich, bei Mad Street, schon das Logo, das sieht ja schon aus wie Streets of Rage. Also, da merkt man schon, wer Pate stand.
If somebody was going to come up with a game where you shoot shotguns and when you miss the shot, a new
Princess
shotgun
Farmer, Little Witch. Also Little Witch würde ich auch nehmen. Princess Farmer nicht hier. The Airport for Aliens currently run by dogs. Der Titel ist schon total dämlich und das Spiel sieht auch dämlich aus, aber ich will es zocken. Also ich will es zumindest ausprobieren.
They're always surprising us. They're always giving us something new. And so when I say I have no idea what we're going to see in 10 years, like that's what excites me. Like if I knew what was going to happen, I might not be as excited. So yeah, I think in the best possible way, I have no idea.
That's really interesting you say that. I am kind of curious with these next generation consoles that have just released very recently. How has that transition been? Has it been kind of difficult or?
No, not really. We've been seeding Xbox Series X and Xbox Series S's to our developers for a while, and we've been really excited to see how many independent developers are supporting features like Smart Delivery, where you might have an Xbox One today, you buy the game.
Ja, ich meine, die wenigsten Indie-Developer werden jetzt die Power direkt nutzen von der Series X, sondern eher so die Gimmicks. Wir können es auf 4K bringen, wir können es auf 4K 120p bringen, FPS bringen. Wir können dieses Smart Delivery mit reinbringen. Alles so kleine Gimmicks, die auf der Series X cool sind, die können wir natürlich verwenden, aber die werden jetzt nicht die ganze Power brauchen von der Konsole.
It's been exciting. It's been exciting to see the games, but one thing that we're proud of is that the transition itself for developers has been boring. And I mean that, again, in the best possible way. That, they get this new system and they can start taking advantage of the power of it, but they don't have to get a PhD to figure out how to use it. And so, that is kind of always our goal, to make it as easy as possible to ship so that the focus for developers can be on their game, on taking advantage of the hardware, not like fighting against the hardware and just being excited they got something to run.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, in that context in particular, boring is fantastic for the indie devs, I'm sure.
Right.
So speaking of indie devs, what advice would you give to any dev teams out there who might be watching who would want to apply to ID at Xbox?
Yeah, just reach out. It's xbox.com/ID. You can see from today and from the 2,000 games that have come through the program in the last 7 years. We love variety. We're eager to support like all developers, especially if you're a new developer. This is your first game. Maybe you're not from the United States, or you're from a different territory. Like, please apply. We're really eager to help you get your games on the platform. There's a huge audience of players who want to play your games. I don't want to be crass, but independent developers on Xbox have earned more than $2 billion, like way over $2 billion in the last 7 years from shipping.
Ja, aber da musst du auch das Richtige haben. Da gibt es einige, die sind richtig erfolgreich geworden, Among Us. Und es gibt halt einige, da hast du nie von gehört. Das ist wahrscheinlich auch nie wieder.
Getting millions and millions of people to play your game through Game Pass, just shipping your game and having lots and lots of people play it and enjoy it. Please come aboard.
Mm-hmm. Wow, Chris, I want to thank you for taking the time to spend and chat with us. But before we do say goodbye, can you let everyone at home know how to apply to the program?
Yeah, absolutely. Devs just need to go to xbox.com/ID, and you can fill out an application there. I think it maybe takes like 5 or 6 minutes to apply. And, that's the easy part. The hard part is making the game, but the part of building a relationship with Microsoft and everything like that, we try and make that as easy as possible.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Awesome. Well, again, thank you so very much for joining us today. This has been so enlightening.
Ja, Spiele zu bauen ist leichter geworden, aber es ist halt immer noch eine Scheißarbeit. So viele verschiedene Sachen, die zusammenpassen müssen. Du brauchst so viele verschiedene Talente oder musst halt so viele verschiedene Talente haben, dass alles zusammenpasst. Design, Musik, Programming, also Programmieren. Ja, da passt schon einiges. Und irgendeiner braucht auch die gute Idee, die halt nicht jeder Fünfte schon vor dir hatte.
Absolutely. Thanks a lot, guys. Bye.
Oh, that was so awesome. And it seems almost simple for developers to apply. I didn't know that it was almost that easy. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, go to a website and it takes about 5 or 6 minutes. And I've known about the ID at Xbox program for years and how it helps indie devs get their games out there and get their games finished. And what an awesome program it is. But yeah, I also didn't know how easy it was for devs to apply. So for anyone watching this who has a game mulling around up here, even if it's just in concept phase.
Ja, wenn ein Konzept alleine wird schwierig. Da muss man schon, glaube ich, schon ein richtiges Konzept haben. Einfach die Idee, ja, ich mache jetzt ein Tetris 2, wird halt nichts. Da brauchst du schon wissen, was du machst und wie du es machst.
What Chris was saying, sometimes starting is the hardest part, but to even put your foot in the door by applying to the program, I mean, oh my gosh. I know there's some developers in the chat watching. Go ahead and get started. I see you guys in there. Let's do it.
Yeah. Yeah, I absolutely love, like I said, I've been following this program for a while. When you go to a convention like an E3 and you go to kind of Microsoft's convention floor booth, like their section of it, there's always an ID at Xbox section. And whereas a lot of people go in and kind of hunt for the big AAAs, I'm usually scanning the floor for the ID at Xbox section because that's where I'm going to go and find the games that, like you said, Brianna, you know, if you're in it for art style, if you're looking for...
Finde ich aber cool, wenn die halt die Indie-Developer nochmal so eine Möglichkeit bekommen, auf den Messen sich eigen zu präsentieren. Auf der Gamescom haben wir auch schon mittlerweile einen eigenen Floor quasi für die Indie-Developer, damit die halt auch Beachtung finden. Ja, dass sie nicht direkt neben dem Nintendo-Stand stehen und nicht direkt neben Microsoft oder Sony, sondern ein bisschen unter sich, aber dafür auch die Leute, die sagen, okay, ich habe Bock auf Indie-Developer, Indie-Games, die dann auch dahin gehen und sich dann wirklich Zeit nehmen, sich das anzugucken und die ansonsten wahrscheinlich irgendwie gedrängt untergegangen werden.
Talk about a little bit later in the show as well. So don't worry, we've got lots of stuff coming.
We do. We have so much coming. But up next, everyone, streamer Kate Stark will sit down with the team behind the new game Moonglow Bay, which takes place along the peaceful eastern Canadian coastline during the 1980s. In Moonglow Bay, you play as an old rookie angler struggling to keep your business afloat while coming to terms with the death of your lifelong partner.
There's the feels,
but after exploring the world a little bit, you come to learn not everything is what it seems. Let's take a look at the trailer.
Yay, Minecraft. Na, fast.
Well, Guppy, you did it. Your first catch. 40 years, and you still surprise me. I know this place seems strange.
Ja, können wir auch mal, ey, das ist total easy, ja, ein paar Klötzchen zusammenbauen. Das ist gar nicht so easy. Jedenfalls für mich. Es gibt bestimmt einige, die das easy finden, aber ich finde es, ja, Lego ohne Anleitung bauen ist halt immer noch ein bisschen, naja, da kommt halt irgendwas bei raus, aber nichts Cooles halt.
This bay is full of amazing new creatures waiting to be discovered. So we'll find them and share them with the world.
Erinnert mich gerade so ein bisschen vom Style her an The Tourist, was auch ein Indie-Game war.
As long as this book is by your side. So am I. Welcome home.
Ja, da habe ich noch nicht so ganz den Peil raus, was das jetzt eigentlich ist.
Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us, Zach and Lou. Welcome to the show. Can you tell us a little bit about Moonglow Bay?
Of course, go ahead, Zach.
Sure. So Moonglow is like was said in a fishing RPG slice of life set in the eastern coast of 1980s Canada, though fictional.
Yeah. And it's in a town that people are afraid to fish because of mysterious things.
Yeah, weird sea creatures. Well, it starts out like a kind of scenario where the game is very regular and you're like, oh, it's just normal fish. It gets weirder and weirder, and you're like, okay, what's actually going on here? People have these myths, and there's some truth to these myths, and so it's a little spooky.
And you get to fish, and you get to cook and sell and make friends around the town. And build the town out.
So like while you're trying to explore the world, figure out what happened to your long lost partner, the town itself is going through their own struggles with their potential closing and inability to grow and survive. So it's kind of like a in tandem
everyone
growth,
helping each other.
Yeah.
Sounds amazing. Now, without spoiling too much, what can you tell us about the town and what went into creating life in Moonglow Bay?
Oh, it does.
So the town is having its centennial, so it's gonna be 100 years old, and it's completely falling apart. It has no money. The town hall is closing, and you kind of like gotta help it.
You moved into the town 3 years prior with your partner, thinking like, okay, we're gonna retire here and we're gonna just open up a little fishing shack. But then they go on their adventure. Your partner goes on their adventure to start up the shop, and they never come back. So now you're kind of like left alone. You're like, oh, I don't know what to do. And everyone else is also closing down, so you're like, I need to, like, I want this to survive. And your daughter comes back and it's like, kind of like picks you up and says, let's do this, let's figure this out. And
let's fix this town up. Yeah.
And
there was so much, like, I did so much research on my side, like doing concept art and stuff about Eastern Canada in the 80s, like going to like little groups and checking like people's memories and the photos that they took of the East Coast of Canada. So
and also in the fashion, because even though it was 70s, 80s, the fashion hadn't caught up for like 20 years.
Yeah.
So,
No, it definitely had not.
No, it's not including
Well, I mean,
halbwegs.
what inspired the story on Moonglow Bay then? Because it seems that you did a lot of research into it, so you must, like, and very specifically Eastern Canada as well. So what inspired that?
Well, I mean, I always like fishing games. I think a lot of us always very much like playing the mini games.
I'm one of those
fishing
people,
games,
yes.
RPGs. Yeah. So it's just like, it's one of those things. I was like, well, what if like this has to be feasible as a whole scope game? And I found
with loads of other mini games that you can also
it's
play.
like Legend of the River King, like was almost like 10 years ago, almost 13 years ago since it came out, and I was like, nah, this has to, like, we need to kind of like see what's feasible here. So
and like the story is like Zach and I met living in Quebec.
Yeah.
And like my family has history with fishing. Zach has.
As a kid, I helped run a little fishing shop selling fish by the lakeside.
Da kommt also ganze Fischzeug
and it was
her.
kind of like, you know, there's this connection. We're like, this is actually really chill. We wanted to make a game that was very relaxing, and this is the perfect kind of thing because fishing is pretty chill. And yeah, we just felt like it was the perfect environment to start off, and then we just from there started researching East Coast because we want to go into the ocean, get this vast space,
and also it was a little bit of wanderlust of mine because my dream has always been like I'm gonna go live in Nova Scotia. It seems like the most beautiful place, most calming place. So it kind of has that part as well.
Yeah, like that. That starry-eyed feel of like, oh, new town, beautiful, and
Absolutely.
That's why like one of the things in the game is to kind of build this town up and make it prettier over time.
So there is also a little bit of mystery around the story and around the town. Are you able to tell us a little bit about that?
Sure, yeah, like a little hint, which is basically like there's a lore that exists in the world itself. It's not like the fish aren't typical. They start off typical, but as you get deeper, you get into different biomes. So like regular water is what you're seeing right now, but then like, it spreads into like these sulfur zones, these like heavy glacier zones, and you're like, how does this doesn't exist in oceans? How does this happen? And so it's kind of like the mystery of
that's also like part of the thing that is making people so afraid. Like
Und
people
lecker
go
Essen
fishing
kochen.
and they don't come
Ja, ein
back.
bisschen an Spirit Bar. Da kannst du auch dir einfach hinten hinsetzen und ein
So
bisschen
everything is kind of fueled
zum
by myths
Fischen
in the town because
und
nobody
daraus
has the
dann was
courage to
Leckeres
actually
kochen.
go fish and find out if the myths are true or
Aber ich
not.
denke
So
mal, das
it's kind of
Fischen
like
hat
everyone
hier
just
einen
gossips
viel
to
höheren
each other.
Stellenwert.
Yeah, so you can go talk around. You're gonna fill up a journal to see what these myths that people have accumulated are, and then you can go and like see what truth there is to this, and like there's always gonna be like, okay, go to this location, you're gonna find this weird fish that's gonna like nibble at your ankles. You're like, wait, what? And so so it's like stuff like that for the player to find out.
So more specifically on that, how do the game mechanics work? What can players expect when playing Moonglow Bay for the first time?
Yeah,
Fishing,
so
huh?
it's a core loop of going out fishing and then coming back and cooking whatever you've caught in your home, and then you sell it at your vending machine.
It's a lesser
wir verkaufen es auch
intense
direkt.
mechanic to selling itself.
Yeah.
The cooking is like a bunch of fun mini games.
Like Cooking Mama style kind of stuff.
Also
Yeah,
komplett
and the
einmal
fishing
die,
is like you
die
have several
Wertschöpfungsquelle.
different kinds of fishing. You can rod fishing is the one that goes the most complex.
Fangen,
It has like different
kochen,
levels of
verkaufen.
Of difficulty
Alles.
based on the fish
and equipment.
Alles drin.
And then there is trap fishing, there is
ice fishing, net fishing.
and line fishing, which is like a little bit more musical. So like you choose the style that you wanna fish with and tricks to capture this 100+
Yeah, and there's like
sea
certain
creatures.
fish that can only be caught with certain tools, so you're gonna have to kind of go around and figure out what these combinations are. And also in your boat, you can expand, with the money you've accumulated, you can expand the size of your boat, the tooling within it, to get a little bed and a kitchen in the boat itself.
So you can go fishing for days,
So you can go fishing out at sea for days rather than always having to come back to town.
Yeah.
I love the sound of that. Now, I know a question that a lot of our audience is going to be wondering and asking, and I am myself, can you pet the dog? Because I noticed there's a dog.
Yes.
Can you pet the dog? Das ist
You can
wichtig.
pet the dog. The dog is gonna follow
He
you.
follows you around.
It's your little companion.
His name is Waffles.
Yeah.
He's adorable.
Waffles.
Waffles.
Oh, I'm in love with this game already. This is my new comfort game for sure. Lou, you were mentioning the art style. What inspired and influenced the art style?
Minecraft, oder?
So, Zach and I, like, ever since we met, we did a bunch of, like, little mock-ups and stuff, trying to figure out, like, what game do we want to make? And it started from the principle that Zach does voxel art. And also, like, I wanted to bring something really relaxing. So one of the things that, it doesn't look like it because it's all squared and it's, like, has a specific palette and stuff. But one thing that inspires me a lot on their direction is, like Ponyo from Studio Ghibli, the movie.
Yes.
Ghibli. Echt jetzt? Sie haben jetzt Ponyo im Sinn.
Kind of like, as well as Animal Crossing, like, and the old Harvest Moons from the GBA. So all those things that are very relaxing games that kind of slice of life, and
all the colors are much softer.
Yeah.
It's all intentionally like catered so you don't feel intimidated by anything, even if like our myths are a little bit spooky kind of thing. So
yeah, we kind of wanted the player to just like get home from work, in this case, like finish work, and then like maybe open the game and just relax.
Das ist halt eher so ein Spielchen, was du zum Relaxen spielst. Was ja auch nicht verkehrt ist. Ich meine, Spirit Fire ist also ähnlich. Du spielst jetzt auch nicht wegen den großartigen, schwierigen Aufgaben, die da drin sind, sondern einfach ein bisschen relaxen, ein bisschen erkunden.
It's single player
Leute treffen, ein bisschen quasseln.
Couch co-op.
It can be drop in, drop out. Like it's more of a style of like assist. So if you're having difficulty catching a fish, your friend can just like, or your daughter or anyone can just grab the controller and say, I'm gonna help you catch this fish.
And you can grab onto your player one and pull with them to pull the fish in.
So you go alongside the story and stuff.
And
das ist nett. Das ist eigentlich
we're estimating
nett
roughly
gemacht, wenn du da
around
noch
10 to 12 hours. Depends if you
paar
want to be a
Aktionen drin hast, die man
completionist
vielleicht
or try
sogar
to
zu
get
zweit
all
machen
the
kann.
100 plus fish in the game.
And all the side quests and stuff, or if you just want to follow
or if you just want to gun through the story.
Yeah.
So just depending on how players want to play. I love that.
Yeah, so the range can be pretty big.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, what are you most excited, as the developers, what are you most excited for players to experience when playing this for the first time?
For me, I'm excited to see how people react to the fish that they pull up, because we get really weird with their designs, and oh god,
I really love, like, for me, the whole friendship system, like how you can become best friends with people in town and they can tell you like their life stories, or you can help them with their little struggles and stuff like that. That is the kind of things that I love in games. So I'm looking forward to people seeing that as well.
Mm-hmm.
That's fantastic. Now tell us really quickly about scripting an indie game, and how is it challenging with that aspect of game design?
It's chaotic. It's one of those things that initially you're gonna have a like set idea where you're like, okay, you have this goal,
and it's gonna be so big.
Oh yeah, you're gonna have a set idea that's massive. The scope is always gonna be huge, and then you kind of, as you're building out, you kind of build the first section, and then you're like, okay, how long is this gonna be? And then you play through, and you're like, all right, yeah, that.
And can we keep pulling out this amount of like story and work and bigger through the entire game?
Like we've been making this game for over 2-3 years, and a lot of iteration has gone through, and we're just like, okay, we have to keep cutting.
And it's interesting because we also like we're still developing the game, and like as we develop it, we play it, and we, like the storyline actually doesn't fit very well, so maybe we're gonna have to change it, and it goes a lot of work kind of goes down.
But the big thing is that we've always kept like the main beats of the game, and so long as you can tie between all of those beats, then the length between it is not what matters so much in terms of like how long that is. If you can tie them cleanly, then I think the players will always be happy with it because they're going to feel satisfied in the storytelling.
Yeah.
Right, and you were mentioning through the storytelling and a little bit earlier that there is a good amount of lore in the game, and I'm understanding that the lore is definitely playing a bigger role than I may have thought. Can you tell us a little bit about the lore?
Fishes.
The lore is like
Kochen,
It's hard
verkaufen,
spoiling much.
ja,
that's probably
geil.
too much, but like one of it is like the reason why some of the people in town are afraid is because the fishermen who die at sea their spirits are taken within the waters, within the ocean, and that's what manifests like these weird fish and stuff. It's taken like from people's thoughts, and so yeah, it's
like their weird thoughts and their weird imagination kind of brings up things in the sea.
Yeah. So, and that's just a tinge. I want to see more,
like
but I also don't want to.
Yeah.
No, not spoiling is very, very good. We'll steer off of that just to get away from spoilers for a little bit. But how did your team approach replayability?
Yeah, so that was a little hard on the
story. The story part. It's mostly like we're trying to make different challenges in the fishing itself, even though it's a relaxing game, but we still wanted to give different levels to the types of fishing.
Yeah, and it's one of the big things is that adding value to that replayability, and all the way we've done it is tying to that story. Because the lore is so interesting to player base, every bit of thing that work you're doing, every added work you're doing goes towards that story, and you've got a lot of collecting. So
that's one of the reasons why we added so many fish, because we want to people to always have a surprise when they're playing the game. There's always something new, and different zones have different new stuff for you to.
So you don't have to 100%.
Ich weiß gar nicht, wie lange der Showcase eigentlich heute geht. Aber die sind jetzt gerade dran, so 10-15 Minuten über ein Spiel zu reden, in dem es um Fischen geht. Also ich finde es ja super cool, dass wir die Möglichkeit haben, ihr Spiel jetzt richtig schön vorzustellen. Ich meine, die beiden sind super, super happy wahrscheinlich. Aber was kommt denn da noch jetzt? Also haben sie da jetzt 5, 6 Entwickler, die jeweils 10-15 Minuten über ihr Spiel reden? Das wäre
Twitter-Account, an Instagram-Account, a Facebook page. It's
nicht schlecht, aber nicht unbedingt das, was ich erwartet habe.
And we also, the studio itself is at Bunny Hug Games on Twitter, and also there is our publisher that is also going to be giving a bunch of updates, which is at CodeSync, like code and a sync. Yeah.
Okay, that's wonderful.
So that's where we can find.
Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
I know I'm excited to be taking these updates, and I'm going to be wish listing that as soon as I get off of here. Thank you so much for your time, and let's send it back to Story Mode Bay and Trisha Hirschberger.
Yeah.
See ya.
See ya.
Bye.
Moonglow Bay, Leute, wenn ihr fischen wollt, wenn ihr die Fishing Parts ins Bild fahrt, so wenig fand, da könnt ihr die ganze Zeit fischen. Coole Sache.
That little nugget of lore where people who die in the ocean, people who die at sea, their spirits and thoughts or whatnot kind of come to be in the fish. I was like, oh man, this went from peaceful fishing sim where I want to romance different people in town to something entirely different.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. I love how Kate kind of called it a comfort game, because it almost is a comfort game with, not the death part maybe. I don't know how comforting that is. But it looks so adorable. And again, the art style for me is what really drew me in. It's almost like that pixelated type of look. You don't really see that too commonly in games now. And I love that, they brought that back. And yeah, I'm putting it on my wish list. I need that.
Yeah, I saw people in chat saying it's kind of like Minecraft-y looking, but with upgraded graphics. At least that's what people were reminded of. And everyone was getting excited when they saw there was crafting in it too. So we learned different types of fishing, cooking mini games, sell everything in a vending machine, meeting different people in town, and just for Zach and Lou,
Also alles Informationen, die wir jetzt schon alles 3-mal gehört haben. Warum kommt es jetzt noch ein 4. Mal durch?
Invite people into the world and see what they do.
Ich meine, ja, ich bin auch dafür, Entwickler zu unterstützen und sowas, aber
go for it, which is really cool.
Erzähl mal was Neues.
Right. I'm excited. Yeah. I'm excited for them. All right, folks, we have to take a quick break, but don't go anywhere. We have more exclusive trailers coming up. I see everyone in chat that's like, trailers. We'll get there. We have more exclusive trailers coming up, and coming up, interviews with the devs from Soup Pot, Nobody Saves the World, Among Us, and more. See you soon.
Oh ja, das könnte also länger dauern. Ui, ja, ein 3-Minuten-Break. Ja, cool, was haben wir bisher gesehen? Wir haben jede Menge schöne Trailer gesehen. Von Spielen, die ich auch ganz gerne spielen würde. Also hier The Witch and the Woods sah echt nett aus. Omni sowieso. Ich glaube Omni, wenn das im Game Pass drin ist, werde ich mir das direkt mal zu Gemüte führen. Moonglow Bay. Okay, wir haben jetzt genug über Moonglow Bay gehört. Es ist ein Spiel. Warum nicht? Würde ich auch einfach auch mal austesten. Aber es ist jetzt nicht so, dass es auf der Wishliste ganz oben ist. Dass ich sage, oh geil, wann kommt es denn raus? Ich spiele das direkt. Aber ich denke mal so, wenn man für einen Abend oder sowas, nach einem Tag oder sowas, was Entspanntes braucht, dann ist das, glaube ich, ganz cool. Es gibt ja Leute, die spielen da Animal Crossing oder Stardew Valley, die einfach sagen, ey, ich brauche jetzt kein Spiel, was mich noch fordert und wo ich dann jetzt hier noch aufpassen muss und noch mehr Zeit investieren muss, beziehungsweise noch mehr, ja, wie heißt es? Egal, also Spiele halt, die eher entspannen, statt einen noch fordert. Ja, warum nicht? So, jetzt haben wir noch hier 1,5 Minuten Zeit. Das ist ja großartig. So, was ist denn bei euch so? Ja, interessant. Das könnte also noch ein längerer Abend werden. Jetzt sogar noch eine Pause einbauen. Von 3 Minuten. Jetzt müssen die Leute im Hintergrund so ein bisschen scheuchen. Aber Support. Ich habe ja gesagt, die reden jetzt mal mit dem Entwickler von Support. Habe ich ein Lied da nicht von gehört? Was ist ein Support? Ja, mal gucken, ey, was ist das denn? Support. Ah ja, kriege ich einen Suppentopf. Ja, natürlich, klar. Okay, aber was dann will mir direkt Zeug andrehen. Finde ich großartig. Jetzt sind wir gespannt. So, gespannt, was das ist. Ob das jetzt ein Overcooked Abklatsch ist oder sowas. Vielleicht bin ich auch nur dumm und Support ist das der heiße Scheiß. Ich habe einfach davon noch nichts gehört. Kann ja auch sein. Aber ich bin schon mal echt happy, dass die angekündigt haben, hier 12 Minutes wird auf jeden Fall nochmal im Rampenlicht stehen, noch mal ein paar Informationen zu geben. Weil da warte ich echt drauf. Das sieht echt mega gut aus und ich hoffe, dass die einfach einen Shadow Drop sagen und sagen, hier, das Ding gibt es übrigens jetzt nach der Sendung direkt im Game Pass. Dann weiß ich schon mal, was ich heute Abend mache. So, weiter geht's.
Welcome back, everybody, to the ID at Xbox Showcase right here on Twitch Gaming. My name's Trisha Hirschberger, and I am joined by the fantastic Story Mode Bay today to tell you about all things going on the indie scene from Xbox.
Yes. Oh my gosh. Like we were saying earlier on in the show, we have such an incredible lineup for all of you. Coming up soon, Blind Gamer Steve will sit down with the team behind Soup Pot, and later on we'll be talking to Victoria from Among Us. I know everyone in the chat is waiting for that interview about the new map that will be dropping in the game on
Alles ein Teil von Among Us. Ich habe es noch nicht mal.
But first,
ich habe eine Runde gespielt, aber es hat mich einfach nicht gekriegt.
For you. From drifting across gorgeous rally
Aber ich bin auch nicht der Riesenfan von Multiplayer-Spielen online. Ja, wahrscheinlich nur mit Leuten, die du gar nicht kennst oder ich weiß nicht, ist nicht ganz so mein.
Let's take a look.
Das ist jetzt Forza Horizon 5. Sieht doch gut aus. Reicht doch. Na, zumindest den Sound haben sie. Sake. Okay, die haben schon guten Humor. Das war eigentlich der Fond, also die Schriftart von Sega, und die haben einfach Sake draus gemacht. Das ist auch gut. Ja, will ich spielen. Komm, wie heißt es? Wo gibt's? Das Auto erinnert einen tierisch an Sega Rally 2. Ich glaube, das soll sogar mit der Farbgebung und sowas. Art of Rally. Mit den großen Buddha. Okay. Ui, die Gleiter. Seit Zelda Breath of the Wild nicht mal wegzudenken. Ist das Support? Wenn der eine ganze Kühe quasi in diesen Topf da reinschmeißt. Aber harte, schnelle Katze. Was ist das für eine Mischung? Das ist eine Mischung aus ganz vielen Teilen, oder? Das Trick-Style. Das sieht aus wie Monster Hunter. Dass du die Viecher fängst, ist Pokémon-Style. Das können schon fast Chocobos sein. Leute, was mixt ihr da zusammen? Und eine Rakete ist auch noch dabei. Okay, Craftopia. Okay, alles drin. Schön. So beginnen die tollsten Spiele. Der nächste Shooter. Ja, kein Halo-Style, sondern eher Unknown Players Underground oder wie es hieß. PUBG. Players Unknown. Ach, keine Ahnung. Ich hab's nie wirklich gespielt, aber so in den Stil sieht's halt aus. Rust. Habe ich gehört, ja, aber ganz ehrlich, ist wieder nicht mein Spiel. Okay. Ah, Team 17. Die 70er sind zurück. Juhu, auf geht's. Ja, eher die 80er, oder? Ja. Cooler Synthi-Sound dazu. Ja, schön 80er Prügelei. Aber kommt das jetzt nicht sogar irgendwann? Ja. 30. Ist ja bald. Direkt ein Game Pass, auf geht's.
Creepy, AI-driven Mr. Peterson. This character has one mission, keeping you from discovering his secrets. Hello, and welcome
Hello
to
Neighbor
2,
2, ja.
In this game, you'll be playing as a local journalist named Quentin, who is suspicious of his creepy neighbor, Mr. Peterson. For those new to the Hello Neighbor franchise, this is Raven Brooks, the sort of town where everyone keeps to themselves and goes about their lives. Normally, you would too, except a bunch of people have gone missing. And there's just something strange about your neighbor, Mr. Peterson. Everyone is afraid of him. There have been rumors of children going to his house and never being heard from again. Some people say he likes to lock people up in his basement. But no one has any proof. So people just try to avoid Mr. Peterson, his odd house, and ignore the strange sounds coming from his basement at night. You have a feeling that Mr. Peterson is behind all of the neighborhood disappearances, but no one believes in your ideas and theories.
Ist bestimmt nichts
And
Fieses.
while you normally wouldn't break into someone's house, you're the only one who believes something is wrong and has the guts to uncover the truth. When you break into Mr. Peterson's house, you'll be going against an AI that is
So
constantly
schnell kann man
evolving.
Reifen abnehmen. Ja,
Our goal
so
for
läuft
Hello
das.
Neighbor 2 is to provide unique player experiences. This is an experience that is driven by the community. Mr. Peterson's behavior is a combination of a neural network and algorithms that allow him to constantly learn from his experiences with everyone who plays our game. It begins with the collection of player activity. Mr. Peterson takes note of player behavior, whether or not most players are likely to hide in a closet, use a certain escape route, or certain objects. As time progresses and he learns, Mr. Peterson's behavior may change and surprise you. How Mr. Peterson plays in one encounter with you might be different from the next, all due to his encounters with the game's community as a whole. In this way, the community's experience with Mr. Peterson changes over time, allowing for an AI that is developed through community actions, replayability, and great stories of neighborhood shenanigans. But these new experiences go beyond Mr. Peterson. In Hello Neighbor 2, players can interact with all characters in Raven Brooks, and these characters share the same AI core, but behave differently and have their own stories for you to discover. So while you might think you're just playing the game, you're really contributing to the development and improvement of Mr. Peterson's AI. We hope this presentation of our AI
Der gute Nachbar wird
gives you
halt
an
mit
idea
jedem
what to
Durchgang
expect in
schlauer
Hello
oder
Neighbor
weiß
2.
jedenfalls, wie
If
er
you'd like to
handelt.
try
Das ist
an
echt
early
cool.
access version of Hello Neighbor 2, you can check out some of our alphas on the Microsoft Store. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you in the neighborhood.
Weg damit. Das ist eigentlich eine coole Idee, dass du dann wirklich Charaktere hast, aber das wird wahrscheinlich immer mehr kommen. Dass du dann wirklich
I
Gegner und
played the
sowas hast, die
first
halt
one,
mitdenken.
and I was kind of petrified. Like, he was finding me from every little corner. I remember trying to hide in the rooms, and he was right there waiting for me. So the fact that they're making a second one, and he's even smarter than the first game, I'm nervous. I'm very nervous.
Well, that was one of the coolest things about the first Hello Neighbor is that, you know, he would adapt to your play style, and the more that you would do runs, the smarter he would get. But now not having it only be your runs, but the entire community's runs that Mr.
Okay, der lernt
Peterson's
also nicht nur
learning
von
from is frankly
wie
quite
du spielst,
terrifying to
sondern
me. Although I'm super
das ist wirklich
interested
eine
that
AI,
they said
was
that the other
durch
neighbors
die
will
Spieler
all have
lernt.
stories
Also, das ist
and
mal ein
will be
interessanter
able to
Ansatz.
interact with the other neighbors as well. That's super cool. I love that in Hello Neighbor 2 we get a little bit of a motivation as to why we're invading this man's house, whereas I feel like in the first Hello Neighbor you're just like those meddling kids.
Ich kann mir vorstellen, dass da so viele Leute wieder irgendeinen anderen Kram machen,
bugging
Don't
our
throw your
neighbor.
ball
dass
over
die
in my
AI
yard
irgendwann sowieso nicht mehr
again.
weiß, was da los ist.
Exactly.
Yep.
Now, I was going to say I was very happy to see that Team 17 is coming out with another game. They're the same developers that made Overcooked, and even the style of the game, it looks very 80s and retro and almost futuristic in a way, which is super exciting to see. The first trailer that we saw with the car driving, again, a beautiful art style. I mean, wow, these trailers are blowing me away. It is a great time to be a gamer.
Yeah, that first trailer we saw was for a game called Art of Rally, which got high praise from the folks at Top Gear, and being a little bit of a car enthusiast, if you will, an auto enthusiast. I was like, man, okay, loving it. That's
Autos
like some
liebst und
high
sowas,
praise
dann spielst du
again.
doch an Forza
For
Horizon, da
Art
hast du
of
genug zu tun.
Rally, Craftopia looked cool, and I saw a lot of Rust fans in chat.
Ja, wie bei Craftopia habe ich keinen blassen Dunst, was die von mir wollen.
So for our console gamer
Da war ja alles
friends who will
durcheinander
be
geschmissen.
able to get into the world of Rust, if that's your jam. I've dabbled a little bit in Rust myself, although I dabbled on a friendly server, so I know it could be a lot more intense if I was in a more survival-based server where
Coming
everybody's
up,
out to
exclusive
get
new
everybody
game
else.
trailers. Ja,
But
gib mir mehr,
console
gib mir
friends,
mehr.
Welcome.
Here we go.
To Rust.
What's Rust? Ich will aber
But
kein
all right,
Rust.
so that was just some more trailers for everybody to check out. I know chat is all about those trailers. Up next on the show, we have streamer Blind Gamer Steve. We'll chat with the dev team behind the new cooking-inspired game Soup Pot. In Soup
Ja,
Pot,
hätte das
you'll be
gedacht, dass das
able
mit
to
Kochen zu
make
tun hat.
food with a wide
Ah,
range
ich
of
mach mal, ja.
locally sourced or supermarket ingredients in traditional kitchens. Discover and learn more than 100 recipes while streaming your cooking on Cookbook, the in-game social media map. Okay, so we've got like a cooking game and a streaming game. Let's just take a look at the trailer.
Let's do it.
Ja, jetzt bin ich mal gespannt. Was ist denn Spot? Ganz schön grisseliges Bild. Yummy. Und das kochen wir jetzt nach, ja? Was zur... Ja, Leute, das ist doch so ein Fun-Game für VR, oder? Aber der Grafikstil, es sieht irgendwie so 90er Jahre Bilder aus, weißt du, so diese... Nicht die ganze Farbpalette verwenden, grisselig. Alter, was ist das? Strange.
Oh, awesome.
Hello.
Oh, I am really, really excited. Hello, I'm Steve, aka Blind Gamer Steve. And to introduce our guest stars is what I'm here to do. It really makes me happy to introduce to you Gwen and Trina from Chicken Club Studios. Hello,
Ja.
Gwen and Trina. How are you?
Hello, Steve. Hi.
Hello.
Ja, Leute, dann erzählt mir was über Support.
Oh my God.
Wir müssen Cory hier. Müssen einen Rahmen machen und Soba oder was auch immer.
We need to know more details.
So it's really weird. It's like our game, it's very chaotic. It's like, to summarize in one sentence, it would probably be a chaotic cooking game where you don't need a recipe. There's no fail states in this game.
Yeah.
You just do what you do in the kitchen. You improvise. So
Okay, es gibt kein Rezeptbuch. Man improvisiert einfach. Ja, das meine ich auch mal.
their process in the kitchen.
Da
And
guckt man einfach, was im Kühlschrank drin ist und dann schmeißt man
in
alles
Asian
zusammen und
culture,
manchmal
we
schmeckt
don't
es und
really
manchmal
have
nicht.
fixed measurements for cooking. We just like we eyeball everything and then we adjust them
aber-
according to taste. We just listen to the voices of our ancestors in the background.
Kann die Interview nicht schreiben oder ist das jetzt modern, dass man das so schreibt?
It would be fun to play.
Interview.
Especially
Okay.
we wanted to do the iconic cooking methods like using our fingers to measure how much water to put when you're cooking rice. Yeah.
That is so cool.
Yes.
And you mentioned we talked before, by the way, thank you for tuning in. I know you're in the Philippines and it's way past midnight where you are, so thank you so much. But I wanted to ask because you said that it was that the Supot is very Filipino and Asian inspired. Can you tell us a little bit more about how that inspiration is part of the game?
So actually, like Trina and I both love to cook. That's one of the things. And then the pandemic happened, and Trina and I were just like, oh, like we're not doing anything. Like, we're
Ich
just
weiß
at
halt nicht, wo
home.
da die
We don't get to
Langzeitmotivation
eat
ist.
out.
Also hast du da
And
jedes Mal was
then,
anderes im Kühlschrank drin
we
und sagst,
decided
okay,
to
ich
make
packe jetzt mal das zusammen und das
So
zusammen und guck mal, was bei
last year, we
rauskommt.
released a demo,
Ich weiß nicht, ob
which
das
was
so
called Putahe ng Ina Mo
so geil
Sinigang
ist.
Edition. And then we looked in the streaming part of it, and people really liked it. So one of the things that we wanted is like Gia we asked Gia to do sound design where she talks about she says the ingredients names, and
in a
that
really
carried
cute Gremlin
over
voice.
into our actual game. Like when we saw how much people enjoy the demo and they really like it, like we feel like we're filling in a gap where it's not too serious gaming, like
kurz
it's
hier
not
Kopfhörer
instructional,
abziehen.
Like we want to recreate as much as
Ich habe nicht das Gefühl, dass ich
Hollywood
großartig was
edition,
verpasse. Ey, es ist
which
halt,
is
ich weiß nicht.
measure by
Was zur
feeling,
Hölle
you
ist das
fix
für ein
things
Spiel?
as you go,
Ich
things
habe
can
einen
get
Pot und dann
messed
schmeiße ich
up,
alles so zusammen und dann mache ich ein Essen
like
draus.
we
Das
just want
ist,
to bring in that fun into the game and make it a game. Like the fact that when you look at games in general, cooking game is always like a mini game, just like a side thought. And
ja, aber es
we
hat auch
both
seinen
love
Grund.
cooking, like we both love food also, so we wanted to put cooking itself as the focus of our game.
That is
Langzeitmotivation
Now
ist
we
halt
did
ein
see
bisschen.
actually a little bit in that trailer that there's
Außerdem
a
sieht es halt echt so aus, als
social
wäre es ein
network in
besseres
this game
VR-Spiel,
called
wo du halt
Cookbook.
wirklich
Can you
dann.
tell us a little bit about that and how that
Es war ja auch
ties
schon aus der
into the
Ego-Perspektive, dass man dann
progression
wirklich
system
dann
in the
hier mit
game?
einem Move-Controller oder halt mit einem Quest-Controller etc. rangeht
Cookbook
und dann
itself,
kocht.
we
Ja, da gibt es auch schon
wanted a way to wrap the
Spiele,
game,
wo du einen Rahmenladen hast
and
oder sowas und
then
dann halt hier deine
it's
Zutaten
essentially
zusammenschmeißen
like
musst
fake
und da
Facebook,
stehen die Leute und wollen
where
dein Essen
you
schon haben.
could look
Und wenn du zu
in
lange
and then
brauchst,
you
ja, dann
have
gehen sie
like
halt wieder und sowas.
PC-like videos,
Weiß nicht.
and
Ob das
you
denn jetzt mit dem
There's
learn
also
Gamepad.
current
So-
news
Yeah,
so
there's
geil
also
ist.
current news, and then essentially, like, you learn by watching videos of the game, so you also learn techniques, like through a combo fighting system that we want. But then there's also an accessibility option where we've made it so that you could actually remap the controls so that you
Es ist halt
you
so ein
make
bisschen Trial and
you
Error.
could,
Weißt du, ich
adjust the game
pack
to
mal
your
Zeug zusammen und
playstyle,
hoffe, dass dabei was
and
Leckeres
which is
rauskommt. Und ich
something
gucke
that
mir
was
halt
very
dann
important.
Videos an von anderen Leuten, die was gekocht haben.
Because of course I'm an accessibility advocate.
Kann schon
and
interessant
consultant,
sein, aber das
accessibility
hält mich
is
da
very
jetzt
much
nicht
a big
wochenlang
part
an der
my life
Konsole
and
oder
what I do.
am Spiel.
So what are the other accessibility features that you're
Weiß
going to actually
nicht.
have in Supot?
So one of the things that like we really care for is like dyslexia. Like one of our team members has dyslexia, so that's very important to us. That was a very long discussion, whether we put in like QTE or whether we and to balance that so that people feel like they're progressing in the game. Another thing is that Drina is designing, colorblind filters so that
Ganze Animationen sehen halt
we
auch
make
alle aus, als
sure
würden ein paar
that the
Frames
game
fehlen.
is also
So
playable
ganz
to
smooth ist das
people
nicht.
who may not see the colors. We've added in like the reactions, like the lines, so that you have like sort of an indicator of what's happening in the kitchen. And then it was semi-incidental that our sound designer
ingredient.
Oda and Gia, like they
Sense of
just
game. I
really
learned
made
how
the
to cook
game
with it.
so
Genau.
well, like the
Das
sound
ist die
design is so
richtige
well
Idee.
that
Man
all the
lernt jetzt
audio
nicht dieses
feedback,
Spiel, wie man kocht.
really helps you play the
Nein, ich
game.
glaube
Like
nicht.
you could play it also like by listening. And
Also,
the fact that
also
the ingredients shout their names.
yeah, the ingredients shout their names.
That is so cool. I can't wait to be able to try that out. Now,
Ich
Trina,
weiß
I
nicht.
wanted
Also
to
wenn es
ask
im
you,
Game
because
Pass kommt,
apparently I
gucke ich mal
understand
rein und
you're
koche
the
mal ein,
queen
zwei
of meat
Sachen,
over
aber
there at Chicken Club.
ich würde
So
da jetzt
I
keinen
heard
großen
that
Betrag
you
für
said that there's
ausgeben,
some
weil
really
ich da echt die
creative and
Langzeitmotivation nicht
meat-driven
sehe.
achievements in this game. Can you tell us a little bit about what we're going to look forward to? And you mentioned to me earlier, there's a 5-second rule achievement. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
So our achievements aren't skill based. They're basically
Ja,
based on
5-Sekunden-Regel
how much
kennen wir
fun
alle.
you
Wenn es
have
auf
in
dem
the
Boden
kitchen.
landet,
So we have
dann
this
direkt wieder aufheben.
thing where if you
Alles
drop
unter
an
5 Sekunden ist top.
ingredient on
Nichts
the
passiert.
floor and you decide to pick it back up and put it on the pot, the game will record that and mark that as an achievement for the 5-second rule because you're still using the ingredient that fell on the floor. And there's also this. Oh no, I'm spoiling a lot of things. But anyway,
Ja, ne.
there's also this feature where you have a fake neighbor in the background singing karaoke, and if you get too annoyed, you can just throw food at them. So they stop singing.
Noch ein Karaoke singt den
Like
Nachbarn
that.
oder was?
Yeah.
That is so amazing. I love that.
Es ist
so
so
by the way,
strange.
you should probably mention that there, like, you got to make sure that you.
Ah,
have to
jetzt
turn
haben
the
sie Interview
stove
richtig
off,
geschrieben.
correct?
Sie haben es gelernt.
You don't want to like.
Yeah.
That's going to be an issue.
You need to turn your stove off if you're not using it because it's gonna.
Ich finde es echt cool, dass Trina dahergegangen ist und hat gesagt, okay, ich
turn off the stove, your whole kitchen's gonna burn.
verändere meinen Background so,
Yeah.
dass es zum Spiel passt.
That's awesome.
Aber in den Brillengläsern sieht man halt komplett den Greenscreen.
That essentially there's going to be the ability to have like kind of different types of food from like locally grown farmers and holiday food. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Ja, dann ist halt wirklich die Frage, wie realistisch ist das? Also kann man dann mit den richtigen Sachen was Richtiges kochen? Oder ist es einfach so, ja, ich schmeiß jetzt ein paar Nudeln zusammen, ich schmeiß ein bisschen Tomaten rein und dann habe ich eine Tomatensauce oder sowas? Weiß ich nicht.
What they do is that they source locally, and this is something that's very subtle. It's not really gonna affect like your experience of the game, but we wanted to ensure that the design of it also reflects that, small like local farmers and homegrown organic ingredients are just better and like more fresh compared to like supermarket ones, just because of like fast food and like waste and all of those things. So you don't necessarily feel that in the game because you could buy whatever you want.
Ich weiß nicht, der Grafikstil ist halt schon ein bisschen körnig, der ist schon ein bisschen grob. Ist wahrscheinlich auch so gewählt, aber
both
Ein bisschen
Trina and I
smoother hätte
grew
ich halt
up
schön
with,
gefunden.
like
Nicht so ganz
that
auf realistisch
is how
getrimmt,
the
ein bisschen
game
auf Cartoon
is.
getrimmt.
So I feel like
Hätte den Ganzen
it
vielleicht ein
doesn't
bisschen besser
push
getan.
the things that we want, but we've designed the game in a way that it reflects that.
I love that. Now, is this going to be a like a solo single player experience, or is there going to be multiplayer in this at all?
Ja, gib mir
Oh, it's a
Multiplayer.
solo
Komm, lass uns
experience.
zusammen kochen.
Yeah.
Oh, that's awesome. So you can kind of go at your own pace. I love that. So I bet there's a lot of people kind of in the chat that are going to be wondering, like, when can we be able to get our hands on Supot on Xbox?
So currently we are aiming for August 31st, 2021. And yeah, like that month is like pretty important for us.
Ja, aber ganz
When the
ehrlich,
game
mit
gets
dem
launched, you
Gamepad
also
kann ich mir
can
das noch viel
actually
weniger
play
vorstellen.
in a
Das ist halt
Japanese
echt
and
übel.
Korean kitchen, because of like how close those culture us to what we're exposed to. So there are a couple of recipes, and then you could choose to cook in a Japanese or Korean kitchen also.
Ja, japanische Küche gibt's auch. Super, dann machen wir ein bisschen
cool.
Udon-Nudeln
I
und
love
Soba.
that so much.
Das kriegen wir hin, das ist
All
nicht so
right,
schwer.
Thank you so much, Gwen and Trina, for joining us. Where can we be able to find more information about Chicken Club, you, and Supot?
Oh, we have a
So you
website
could
that's
definitely, yeah.
down there.
Es ist schön, wie sie sich absprechen.
It's chicken.club.
Yeah.
All right, that's awesome.
And we also
then-
have a Twitter.
And
We also have a Twitter, Chicken Club. Yeah.
Chicken
A
Club,
Discord,
okay.
yeah.
Oh, there's a Discord too. Just look them up on Twitter. Look them up online. Supot will be coming.
Discord,
very soon
Twitter,
to Xbox.
Chicken
Thanks once again.
Point
and
Club.
I'm going to send it back to Story Mode Bay
Überall.
and Trisha. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Ah, schwierig.
Thank you, Steve. Thank you, Gwen and
Thank you.
Trina.
Also Grafikstil
okay,
ist nicht meins und
Brianna,
ich weiß halt
are
echt
you
nicht,
a
wie lange du
good
das
cook
spielst.
in
Nicht
real
lange.
life?
I've gotten better, yes. When
Ganz
I
ehrlich, da
first
koche ich
started
lieber
cooking, no, not
selbst.
really. But it's almost
Da habe ich
like
jedenfalls noch was zu
trial
essen
and
danach.
error. I love what they were saying earlier about how, in their culture, there's no sense of really following recipes. It's just you let the ancestors guide you and they'll tell you how much you need to add. That's the kind of cook I am.
You know what? I self-professed not a good chef, personally. And I'm watching this thinking, oh, maybe this will make me a better chef, much like Dance Dance Revolution made nobody a better dancer. So no, probably not. But at least it might make me have some love, for cooking. I like the wacky stuff that they talked about.
Also
where,
da wäre ich jetzt eher dabei, die Fische zu fangen und zu kochen und zu vermarkten, diesen Vending-Maschinen, als jetzt da herzugehen und ich weiß nicht.
Yes.
When you pick it, that's what I'm in for. I'm in for the wacky stuff.
Or even they were saying the 5-second achievement. If you drop some food and as long as you pick it up, blow the dust off and put it back on the stove within 5 minutes, you'll be good. It's fine.
Seconds,
I'm
5
excited to
seconds,
play.
nicht 5 minutes.
5-second rule for real.
Yes, for real. Well, everyone at home watching, coming up, we will chat with Victoria from Among Us about the new airship map coming over to the game. And
Ja,
later,
ich weiß, alle sind so
streamer
drauf, ja,
GameSpot
Among
will
Us,
have a
ja, geil,
conversation with the
lass uns das
devs
spielen,
behind
PC, Switch,
Nobody
Xbox, was weiß ich
Saves
wo.
the World. I
Weiß
am
nicht,
very
hat
excited.
mich bisher
But first,
nicht
let's take a
gecatcht,
quick
kein
break.
Stück.
Be right back.
Machen wir noch eine Pause, ja. 3 Minuten Pause, schön. Ja, was haben wir denn jetzt gesehen? Wir haben ein Spiel gesehen, wo es darum geht zu kochen. Und zwar, wo du deine eigenen Rezepte eigentlich ausprobieren kannst, weil es gibt keine Vorgaben. Ja, du hast einfach dann dein Zeug und dann packst du das in den Soup-Pot rein und guckst, was für eine Suppe dabei rauskommt. Ist nett. Das ist nett, aber nicht mehr. Und wie gesagt, ich würde mir das eher wahrscheinlich in VR geben, weil es dann halt nochmal ein bisschen noch ein bisschen anderen Fun-Faktor hat, als jetzt mit dem Gamepad. Oder wären so ein paar Jahre früher dran gewesen für die Wii oder halt für die Switch jetzt, weißt du, da hast du die Joy-Con und dann kannst du dann hier dein Zeug klein hacken. Ist wahrscheinlich nochmal ein bisschen schöner, ein bisschen lustiger, als wenn du einfach X drückst oder A drückst und dann ist das halt klein gehackt. Also, weiß nicht, wahrscheinlich geht es auch gar nicht eher so darum, die Zutaten zuzubereiten, also hier vorzubereiten, sondern eher, ja, wir schmeißen alles mal im Pott rein und gucken, was bei rauskommt. Also dieses Entdecken ist da halt wahrscheinlich im Vordergrund, aber fand ich auch bei Zelda irgendwie nicht so geil. Das war jetzt nicht unbedingt so das, warum ich jetzt Zelda Breath of the Wild gespielt habe. Da kannst du ja auch, hast du auch diesen Pot gehabt und hast alles reingeschmissen. Du hast einen Apfel und du hast da irgendwelche Musch und schmeißt alles zusammen und guckst mal, was da rauskommt. Und was ist das halt? Aber als eigenständiges Spiel. Es gibt halt einen Grund, warum die meisten Spielchen Kochspielchen eher Minispielchen sind. Wenn du Mama oder sowas ansieht, das sind dann halt eher so kleine Minispielchen, weil es einfach zu langweilig ist, einfach das in den Topf reinzuschmeißen und einfach zu gucken, was bei rauskommt. Das ist irgendwie nicht... Reizt mich jetzt nicht. Muss ich euch leider sagen. Auch wenn ihr sympathisch seid und ich freue mich wirklich, dass ihr jetzt euer Spiel vorstellen konntet und auch viele darunter geschrieben haben, ja, sieht super toll aus. Ob die das wirklich so meinen oder ob die dann nur einfach drunter geschrieben haben, weil sie gehofft haben, dass ihr Post auch gezeigt wird. Weiß ich nicht, aber es wird seine Leute finden, aber ich denke nicht, dass es jetzt der heiße Scheiß wird. Ich glaube nicht, dass wir jetzt hier im August oder halt im Winter da sitzen und alle Support spielen und denken, wow, geil, guck mal, was ich ausprobiert habe, was ich für ein geiles Rezept rausgefunden habe. Hier, probiert das auch mal aus. Das sehe ich nicht. Das tut mir echt leid für die, aber ich denke nicht, dass es jetzt der heiße Scheiß wird. Wahrscheinlich sitzen wir dann im November wieder hier und alle spielen Support und ich sitze da und denke mir so, das hast du jetzt nicht kommen sehen. Ich würde es dir wünschen, definitiv, aber ich sehe es halt einfach nicht. Aber hoffentlich irre ich mich. So, weiter geht's.
Hello everybody, and welcome back to the ID at Xbox Showcase right here on Twitch Gaming. My name is Trisha Hirschberger, and I am here today with Brianna, aka Story Mode Bay, and we're kind of like your tour guides.
Das ist auch ein ganz toller Name. Story Mode Bay.
All the different sections of things that you will want to see. But we do have a lot of great stuff coming up.
We absolutely do. Next up, everyone, we'll be hearing from the creative team behind Nobody Saves the World, and they will be interviewed from none other than Danotage.
Nobody Saves the World. Klingt nach einem postapokalyptischen Spiel, weil alles kaputt ist, weil keiner die Welt gerettet hat.
From the Battle of Normandy to the scrum of medieval combat, this next batch of games promises something for everyone. Let's take a look.
Demon Turf.
Okay. Okay, das hat wieder einen speziellen Artstyle, der leider nicht meinen Geschmack trifft. Das sieht leider so aus, als hätte zwei verschiedene Sachen einfach zusammengeschmissen und gehofft, dass es passt. Ja, du hast diese 3D-modellierten Welten mehr oder weniger. Und dann hast du diese gezeichnete Figur mit ihren drei hier Ansichten da drauf. Oh, schwierig. Das sieht halt nicht aus, als würde es zusammenpassen. Tut mir leid. Einer hat die Figur designt, der andere hat die Welt designt und dann, okay, passt halt.
It's time for my butt to sit on your throne. Yeah.
Jay, ein Weltkriegs-Shooter. Komm, der hat mir noch gefehlt. Ganz ehrlich, die kannst du doch mittlerweile auch nicht mehr zählen, wie viel es davon gibt. Was aber mal. Was war das? Tripwire? Nicht so schnell wieder den Titel wegmachen. Oh ja, so ein Medieval-Spiel. Schön. Also richtig schön Kampfsystem dabei hast, warum nicht? Ich fand ja For Honor eigentlich ganz cool. Mit dem ich weiche aus und hau wieder zu, was ein bisschen taktischer auch war. War halt nur zu dumm dafür. Aber an sich fand ich's cool. Hat er da gerade ein brennendes Huhn geworfen? Okay, die nehmen sie auch nicht ganz ernst. Aber das sieht doch eigentlich cool aus. Oh ja, der Style gefällt mir auch. Die Wikinger sind wieder da. Ist auch wieder so ein Trend gerade, oder? Nach Vikings und sowas haben wir jetzt überall die Wikinger. Aber das passt. Der Artstyle passt schön dazu. Es sieht wunderschön aus. Die Musik passt dazu. Es hat ein bisschen was von Limbo, zumindest jetzt, wenn es im Dunkeln ist. Oh ja. Es scheint jetzt auch nicht das leichteste Spiel zu sein. Animationen sind stimmig. Ja, bin ich dabei. Tja, das sieht gut aus. Das sieht nicht nach einem Spiel aus, was du mal so abends so leicht nebenher spielst. Ich glaube, das fordert dich. Son of Iron. Ja, finde ich geil. Aber kein Game Pass. Schade. Das hätte ich mir noch gewünscht. Mein Game Pass ist schon richtig mächtig geworden. Also mit EA jetzt mit dazu. Bethesda ist dazu und ich glaube, Microsoft ist da schon gut dabei, die nächsten Sachen einzusammeln. Aber man kann halt nicht alles haben. Okay, ich habe die fliegende Untertasse und versuche nicht irgendwo zu crashen, das Zeug einzusammeln. Erkunden und keine Ahnung. Ist interessant, was die fliegende Untertasse für einen Sound macht. Ja, ganz ehrlich, da sieht man schon, da kommt schon ein bisschen auf Reaktion drauf an, oder? Dass du nicht gegen die Wände da fliegst und sowas. Ah, das ist Exo One. Okay, puh, nee, danke.
That was a peaceful last trailer. It was so calm.
Exo One, the gliding sim.
Yes.
Ja, the gliding sim, so sieht's aus.
I saw Blank Arcadian in chat when we were watching the trailer for King of Iron said Assassin's Creed of Persia, and I just thought that was hilarious. But you're mentioning things that I love, Blank Arcadian. So King of Iron might be right up there as well. Brianna, did you have any of those trailers that jumped out at you that you were like, yes, I gotta play that?
Yeah, that first one,
Son of Iron,
Demon Turf, I
definitiv.
think it was called, definitely caught my eye. It's kind of like a 3D platformer, but what I liked about it is they kind of experimented with that 2D style a little bit as well.
Sie mag das, was ich nicht mag. So sind die Leute.
I'm excited about this. Also,
Deswegen,
what
man
I'm
kann nicht
equally as
allen
excited about
gerecht
is our very
machen
next
quasi,
interview
aber
coming
für mich ist es
up.
nichts, sie mag's.
Up now, streamer Danotage
Ist doch
is going
cool,
to
wenn die
connect
Spieler,
with
also
the
wenn die
devs
Entwickler
behind
Indie-Spiele bekommen.
Nobody Saves the World. From the developers of Guacamelee, oh, I love that name, comes Nobody Saves the World, which is a twist on an action RPG in which you play many
Action
different
RPG.
character forms,
Okay,
each
jetzt
with their
sind wir mal
own
gespannt.
unique gameplay mechanics. You get to explore a vast overworld, clearing generated dungeons in an effort to beat back the calamity and save the world. Let's check out the trailer.
Aber nobody saves the world. Warum retten wir jetzt die Welt? Weil es sonst keiner machen würde. Okay. Ja. Nostramagus. Oh mein Gott. Dungeon Crawler, Roguelike wahrscheinlich oder sowas. So sieht's aus. Ja. Es erinnert mich gerade so ein bisschen an End of the Gungeon. So der Artstyle quasi. Und auch die Sicht quasi da drauf. Das ist natürlich jetzt nicht so ein Bullet-Hell-Teil wie End of the Gungeon, aber ja, so in der Richtung. Coming soonish. Im Game Pass. Ja, komm, dann kann man es aber eine Chance geben. Ich finde, Game Pass ist eigentlich eine gute Möglichkeit, einfach mal reinzusneaken.
Yo, wow, that trailer was awesome. I've seen that like 3 times now. It's fantastic. My name is Dan Otage. Hello, everybody. I'm joined by the lovely, lovely human beings named Grant Smith and Ian Campbell from Drinkbox Games. The lovely people that brought you Guacamelee and Guacamelee 2 now bring you Nobody Saves the World. Hi, guys.
Hey, how you doing?
I'm doing fantastic. That, like, I'm not joking, that trailer gets me amped every single time. I've seen it like 4 times now. And it's
ich finde es aber interessant, dass du mal so Trailer drin hast und da hast ein paar Interviews mit drin, wo die Entwickler ihre Spiele so ein bisschen vorstellen können. Das ist eigentlich ein nettes Konzept, aber darf halt auch nicht zu lang werden. Wenn die jetzt zum 3. Mal erzählen, wie toll es ist, seine Suppe da zu kochen, oder wie toll es ist, da die Fische zu fangen und was draus zu machen.
Yeah, please. I guess,
ist halt wieder ein bisschen zu
Nobody
viel.
Saves the World. Well, to start off, that naked gray baby that you saw that picked up the wand at the start of the trailer there, that's Nobody. That's who you start the game as. And so, like, right at the start of the game, you find this magic
Nobody
wand,
says so.
which
Nobody
allows
bist
you
du,
to
so wie hier
change
Terence Hill oder was?
form into different types of forms. So the game
Nobody
is
says
basically
so.
like a top-down
Okay.
RPG, action RPG. But as you're playing, you're progressing through this form tree, and you're unlocking new forms and playing as different forms, and experiencing like completely different types of gameplay with each kind of the forms. So at the very start of the game, the very first form you'll unlock is you gain the ability to turn into a rat, and you actually use that ability to escape imprisonment. You
Siehst doch aus wie Nobody.
imprisoned at the start of the game. And then, so once you escape from your prison, you notice that the rat has this long list of quests that the rat can do using the rat's abilities. And when you start working on those quests and completing those quests, your rat starts to rank up and gain new abilities, and you also unlock additional forms that you can switch to, which have their own list of quests. So slowly throughout the game, as you're playing, you're unlocking new character classes, which we call forms, and exploring those different gameplay mechanics with the different forms, unlocking new abilities, unlocking more forms. You can see a little bit of the form tree in the video right now. You can see the player just turned into the rat. Yeah, so in a quick nutshell, that's kind of what the game is about.
So so the forums, it sounds like it's good for you're showing exploratory stuff and being able to kind of puzzle solve a little bit. I assume there's a lot that goes on with how your gameplay is going to be with combat and such.
Yeah, absolutely. Like every form has their own play styles and their own moves. Like some are about like applying status effects to enemies and taking advantage of that. Some are like real heavy hitters, but they need like long windups and they need an element of like timing to them. Some can fly, some can swim. There's like lots of combat and traversal mechanics. As you get further into the game, you can mix and match the abilities between the forms. So, then you have like a rat that can shoot arrows like a ranger, or a horse that's, like biting things and poison like a rat, whatever. So the possibilities are nearly endless, you could say.
Yeah, we talked about it a little bit before, and I think that's the thing that intrigued me most. It sounds like there's sort of a kind of Lego plug and play, get to pick different forms and kind of play with them. Is there like how complicated can we get?
It gets pretty complicated. Like to start with, when you unlock a new form, the forms quests are all kind of like training you how to use that forms, because we want to ease the player into the new mechanics that are presented with each form. So it'll be like getting you to use your basic abilities. But then once you've kind of started to get the hang of a form, we start giving new quests that you can't do with the base abilities.
Ich find's gut, dass wir hier bei den Spielchen auch mal ein bisschen was von Ingame sehen und nicht den Trailer halt 5000 Mal durchrotten. Dass man da noch ein bisschen was sieht, was das Spiel zu bieten hat. Aber leider, es ist nicht meins.
Because there's lots of options for something like that, but they do start to get more specific, and they some of them are more difficult to figure out, like, oh, exactly how am I going to do this, and different customizations. It gives the player some room for creativity in trying to complete the quests that they're presented with.
Yeah, that's awesome. I mean, that was probably the thing I was most excited for when sort of hearing about this. Was it looks very much like, well, it looks like my gym, I'm gonna be honest, and it looks like it's a lot of chat's jam as well. So I think we're all pretty excited about that. But that sort of freedom to play within your rules as the developers, but also be able to kind of do things on our own and get pretty creative and play with like the tools that you've brought up. I think that's pretty awesome. Not to mention, I mean, just simply like Geopart says, the art style of this game looks amazing, and I couldn't agree more. There's just so much stylistic virtue to it, and it seems like it's you're taking a lot of inspiration from your past works, like Guacamelee. Can we talk about like what are sort of the things that maybe you learned in the past that you brought to something like Nobody Saves the World?
Actually, I mean, talking with
sieht aus, als hätte
the
diese
artists,
Figur da keine Augen, ey. Das ist schon ein bisschen creepy.
Of course. Like, one of the goals is to try and break a bit free from what we had done previously. I guess in terms of, say, like, Severed and Guacamelee have a very, like, angular, vectorized art style, but this is more, like, hand-drawn and, like, lots of lines and strokes and stuff. And we also wanted it to be kind of charming, but, like, off-putting. Like, I know, like, maybe, like, Ren and Stimpy or, like, Garbage Pail Kids were referenced in the art team, where, like, it's, like, appealing, but also uncomfortable. Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, it looks like
Yeah,
there's a little bit of grunge going on, and like you said, that hand-drawn art style is pretty unique because nobody does it the same, right? Not really, at least. That's awesome.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I've seen some mentions, and something that I sort of came up just kind of watching it for the first time was a lot of thoughts of like it being a roguelite, but I wanted to drive home that it isn't a roguelite. It's very much an action RPG, but you guys have something very special, which is, I mean, do you guys want to talk about your dungeons a little bit?
Und einer davon ist ein Roguelike. An sich bräuchtest du ein Roguelike-Game mit Wikinger im Cyberpunk-Setting. Dann bist du dabei. Am besten noch hier ein Battle Royale dazu. Oder das ist kein Roguelike, aber...
And all of the dungeons are procedurally generated, so and they all have completely different themes.
Ja, dieses prozentuale generierte Dungeons ist halt, ja gut, das brauchst du halt bei diesem Roguelike, weil ansonsten wird es halt zu schnell langweilig.
But we have a lot of really odd, non-standard things, like you'll be exploring a UFO, or a gingerbread house, or you'll be going inside of a dead dragon, like just trying to do some weird, bizarre things. And each of the dungeons, while they're procedurally generated, they all have like different rules in their generation, so each dungeon does like have a unique feeling when you go inside of it. But if you do die inside of a dungeon, because the dungeons are going to get increasingly difficult. If you do die, you're kicked back out front, and it gives you a chance to try and create a new build to go back in again and try and be more successful with another attempt. And another thing we do as the game progresses is we start to add more mechanics to the game. So you can't just like find a form or a combo of abilities that is like ultra powerful and just stick with that for the whole game, because the dungeons will present different challenges. So you'll have to kind of mix and match, not only because you want to try and push down the form tree by doing quests as different forms to unlock more classes, but because some of the dungeons you just won't be able to do with certain forms because those forms won't be well suited with their abilities to do that dungeon. So, yeah.
And I was gonna try to find the most broken thing I could possibly find, just play it the whole time. Now I can't.
We still do some from time to time. We do.
Das habe ich da auch schon mal irgendwo gesehen. Diesen Bogenschießen und sowas, das ist alles auch eher. Nee, wir nehmen halt das Beste, was in der letzten Zeit funktioniert hat, und schmeißen es mal zusammen.
Dang it.
Obwohl es natürlich wieder so bestimmt seinen eigenen Charme hat und sein. seine
you
eigenen
showed
Sachen
a
noch mit
couple, it
einbringt,
looked
aber
like bosses straight
weiß
up
nicht, ich bin da ein bisschen durch,
from the
glaube ich.
trailer, and that's like where my bread and butter comes from, is where what I'm always interested in. It's like, oh, the dungeoning is like super fun and super awesome, but where's the boss? And what sort of things can you tell us about maybe some of these high level enemies?
Okay, I share your love of bosses. They're in the game, but
Oh
not
Gott.
as much of a
So
focus.
fahren wir
They
auch
do
mal
exist.
gemütlicher hier.
I think the like enemies and the hazards in the dungeons are almost more like the bosses, if that makes sense. Because
Yep, yes it does.
Okay, because like Ryan was saying, some dungeons, like, they all have their different themes, and some of them are pushing like really hard in certain directions. Like, I just came in this dungeon and there's like poison everywhere and there's projectiles flying at me everywhere, like, and you're like, okay, well, what forms and what abilities can I use to like overcome this? And that's kind of the focus of the dungeon. So then like a final encounter within that dungeon could just like lean more heavily on that element.
Sure. No, that's cool. I mean, because there are a lot of games that sort of focus on, well, this is cool, you're building up, you're trying not to die essentially, but you just got to get to the boss. This sounds like it's very much going to be a challenge all the way through. And I mean, am I wrong in saying that you're going to basically, I mean, obviously you're going to be having fun the whole time, but are you going to be restarting pretty often if you're not necessarily like just a savant at what these kinds of games bring to you?
I don't think so. We're not trying to go for like ultra hard difficulty, and we don't want players to be like dying too frequently. And although there are some places that are pretty difficult, like there are a few key dungeons that you'll have to do throughout the course of the game that are more difficult, and those are the ones that I was mentioning where we kind of like allow the player more flexibility in what their build is going to be going into those dungeons, because we want them to feel like they're creating like really powerful builds. But no, in most of the dungeons you could probably clear them in like a small number of attempts. And like I said, there's a lot of dungeons though, and we really want the player to be like moving through the world and exploring this vast overworld, meeting its inhabitants, and also jumping into all the dungeons that they're finding, and not just be stuck on a dungeon and looping on a dungeon for too long. Yeah.
Cool. That's awesome. Yeah, that sounds like, you don't want something to be too frustrating. It's pretty cool. I just like the visuals of looking at the tree and how it kind of flows together. It seems really easy to read, which is a relief for a lot of things that have been, just kind of everywhere.
Die einen haben keine Augen, die anderen haben vielleicht noch Kratzaugen,
like
also
really
das ist
paid
schon
attention
ziemlich
to
strange.
how everything looks, which is cool. You mentioned also that there's a lot of high-level story. Is there something that we should look forward to sort of getting into as far as like getting fully immersed in
Beautifully creepy.
what sort of story
Ja,
are we gonna be
das
looking at?
beschreibt es schon mal ganz schön. Es sieht nicht scheiße aus, aber es ist schon creepy, oder?
There's a lot of variety, I would say. I guess that's like a blanket
Vor allem
statement
halt die
for both
Leute ohne
games.
Augen,
It's
ey,
trying
das
to
ist
be like
schon
charming and varied as much
nichts
as
für Kinder,
possible.
glaube ich.
But like,
Understood.
I would personally say to look forward to some of the characters you will meet. Like, my favorite is Marty Joe, the hammer curse, who is just like a person cursed to be a walking, talking hammer. He's got a really good storyline going on. But yeah, there's all kinds of like many strange people in many strange situations that you're going to meet. And actually, it kind of ties into the quests that like have been described a bit already, but the ones we talked about are kind of like combat quests. But the story allows for a whole lot of other quests. Like one of them is to get sat on, or one of them is to like fall in love, and like so you're just, you'll always be finding these things as you're going through the world. It's an exciting part of the story to me.
That's awesome. No, that's cool. It sounds like there's a lot to look forward to. I mean, just characters in general are fun to sort of get attached to. I'm hoping you don't make us sad with any of these characters. I'm not going to ask you to react to that or anything, but I mean, there was a whole thing going on Twitter. It's like, don't cry, it's just a video game, but look at this game. And I feel like these types of games where you introduce really cool characters have a lot of opportunity to make that happen. So I'm both excited and hopefully I do not get too sad with these things, but it looks really, really awesome. Is there anything that we may have missed that you would like to show off today about Nobody Saves the World?
I think we covered most of it. Yeah.
Awesome. No, that's fantastic. I'm looking forward to it. Before we fully wrap up, where can we find Nobody Saves the World? Where can we see online and what sort of things should we be following right now?
Wichtigste
You can
Frage
definitely
des
follow us
Tages.
on Twitter, Drinkbox Studios. We're also on Facebook, Instagram, and we just today, even maybe just like right now, we're opening up a public Discord for the studio. So you can, if you want to know more about the game, see more cool stuff from the game, please follow us on Discord. I think it's like discord.gg/drinkbox. Yeah, those are the places to follow us.
Oh, fantastic!
Okay.
Awesome. Thank you all so much. Thanks to Graham and Ian for joining me. Thank you to everybody for watching this. Please keep this on your list because I would love to see as many people play this as possible so that I have things to talk about with you all. We're going to throw it right back to Story Mode Bay and Trisha. Thank you both for joining me, and thank you all so much for watching.
Story
See you
Mode
guys.
Bay, bin ich halt immer noch geil. Da
Thank
will
you
ich gerade
so
kurz,
much
ob
to
das ein Spiel ist, aber
Danotage
nein,
and
ist es
Drinkbox
nicht.
Studios for that interview. Oh my gosh, nobody saves the world. I really like the fact that there's so many generated dungeons, so the gameplay almost doesn't feel repetitive. Trisha, how do you feel about it?
I thought it looked awesome. I mean, I was watching chat the whole time during that interview, and I saw Simo Masso in chat says perfect mix of RPG and roguelike, which I thought, yes, that's a good way to describe it. Because I mean, there were a lot of people saying, "Oh, roguelike," and we heard Ian and Graham say, "Well, kind of, but also not really." But yeah, I mean, there's a lot to love here from from kind of the quirky characters and interesting side missions that they talked about. That I do think it's going to have a lot of replayability. I do think this is a world that I know for myself I'm probably going to spend a lot of time in. I think that Nobody Saves the World looks definitely interesting. Do you think it's something you'll probably stream?
Yeah, I mean, I definitely want to check it out. And I love what you said too about the replayability, because I feel like there's so many games where you play and it's almost like it's one and done. But no, I want to get my money's worth. I want to play this a couple of times over and feel so excited about each playthrough that I do. So yeah, I'm definitely checking this out. Chat at home, what are you guys thinking? Is there a game that you're super excited about that you've seen from the trailers already?
Ihr seht, wie super excited ich bin. Ich schlaf gleich ein hier.
I mean, looking at
Das
the
hängt gleich auch ein
chat,
bisschen damit zusammen, dass
I
es
have a
gestern
good
spät wurde, aber.
feeling about what they're looking forward to. I'm seeing a lot of hype for S.T.A.L.K.E.R. I'm seeing a lot of hype for Among Us. I know what the chat is feeling like.
Oh yeah, but I mean, we've got so much to get into today, so let's go ahead and keep this party rolling. We've had so many great game announcements already today, but next up we have a number of titles never before revealed. Dun dun dun.
Oh ja,
That's
jetzt
right,
geht's
new
los.
game trailers. Let's take a look at
Weltpremiere.
This is our world, or canon. It is a world gifted with magnificent and generous nature, albeit sometimes harsh. Besides ourselves, the Marios, our canon is home to the Pesca, the Zephs, the Arctons, and the Oasis.
Okay.
Oh, we must not forget the Migmies. The Migmies bring our people together and carry around crates containing an essential ingredient for our society. This ingredient is called a harmelin. The harmony between our people depends on it. And last,
Okay,
but
da
not
sind schon
least,
einige Leute
let me
dran,
tell you
die
about us.
Ahnung haben von
We
RPGs.
are the demigods.
Vor allem
Our
JRPGs.
mission is to fight and defeat the noises.
Arztteil ist okay. Es ist so ein gemaltes Ding.
The demigods will not allow anyone
Aber es
to
passt zum
disrupt
Rest dazu.
Canon's
Es ist jetzt nicht so
harmony.
wie dieses Demon Turf, wo du 3D und 2D zusammengeschmissen hast. Es passt schon irgendwie, aber so ganz 100% spricht es mich nicht an. Oh, es scheint rundenbasiert zu sein. Das ist schön. Ich mag rundenbasierte Kämpfe. Aha. Ich habe irgendwie teilweise das Gefühl, dass die Trailer beschnitten sind. Dass die am Ende einfach so Cut, weiter geht's. Okay. Das sieht wieder nach irgendwie ein RPG aus, aber hübsch. das denn? Crafting. Das sind die fliegende Schiffe auf Räder. Okay. Aber Räder sind das, oder? War das jetzt ein anderes Ding? Füße, Räder, irgendwie jedenfalls nicht fliegend, obwohl es eigentlich Segel und sowas hat. Also Flugsegel hat. Stylischer Trailer, aber ich habe keinen blassen Dunst, was es sein soll. Was ist es denn jetzt? Last Oasis. Gott, ist das kompliziert mit diesen Buchstaben, aber okay. Ja, aber was ist Last Oasis? Out now. Okay. Kannst du direkt spielen, ist aber anscheinend nicht in Game Pass. Weiß nicht, ich weiß halt nicht, was das sein soll. Rundenbasiert. Oh ja, okay, das ist hier wieder so ein Tactics-Spiel. Schön. Und die Musik und den Synthesizer gerade erinnert mich tierisch an Death Stranding. Na, was wird's? Also ein MMORPG? Nee, ist ja eigentlich eher so ein grundbasiertes Ding, das machst du ja nicht online, aber von der Charakterauswahl und sowas, das sieht halt natürlich nach so einem MMORPG aus, aber die Spielweise ist eher in Tactics. Okay. Okay. Vielleicht mich wahrscheinlich schon mal jetzt eher bekommen als Last Oasis. Forza Horizon 5. Ist wahrscheinlich der Farming Simulator oder sowas, aber sehr schön modelliert. Der Lone Mowing Simulator. Hey, war ich da gar nicht mal so weit entfernt. Okay. Rasenmäher Simulator, sehr schön. Das habe ich ja irgendwo schon mal gesehen. Ah, das sieht auch da aus wie so ein Roguelike Dungeon Crawler. Okay. Also wenn das... Ja, das scheint aber im Kern Mechanik zu sein von dem Spiel. Finde ich aber interessant. Dass du da quasi die Untergründe dann so bewegst und Leute ausdrückst. Und dann auch ein bisschen rätselst. Ja, okay. Das hat was. Okay, der Arzt da ist, also die Kreaturen sind auch schon ziemlich creepy, aber gut. Loot River. Immer feste drauf.
Oh man, so much Last Oasis hype in chat. I loved it. There's there was a lot to love there. Last Oasis looks great. Lost Eidolons is maybe how you pronounce it.
I think so, yes.
Yeah, Loot River looked awesome, and I saw chat also
I'm
very
loving this
excited
puzzle
for some of
game,
those things.
guys.
Lawn Mowing Simulator made me giggle. If you want a really, really intense, very
Jetzt muss ich wieder
accurate
überlegen, was jetzt
lawn
was
mowing
war.
simulator, then that could be you. But Last Oasis is out right now on Xbox One.
Yeah, that is incredible. And again, like you said, there's so many fans at home watching. You guys go play, go download. It looks incredible. Now, I do have a couple of questions about Lawn Mowing Simulator because is there a story mode? Are you just kind of mowing the lawn?
Lade doch mal die Leute zum Interview ein und die erzählen dir, ob es einen Story Mode gibt.
But that last trailer for Loot River, oh yeah, I'm excited for it. It's almost like you're moving in a puzzle type of motion. It's like an adventurous Tetris, if you will. Oh, I want to play it.
Oh yeah, and the second that I see Super Hot Presents before any trailer, I'm like, yes, please, let's get that. It looks like it'll be challenging, mixing the puzzle play with the combat, and the art style looks cool. The second I saw the Plague Doctor helmet and like wiping the blood off the front of it, I was like, oh, this is gonna be rad. I'm into it. And Lost Eidolons was like everything I love about the medieval character creator with what looked to be turn-based tactical combat. I don't know if we can specifically tell that from the trailer, but that's at least what it seemed to me, which when you combine those two things, that is something I am definitely up for as well. It looked really cool.
Absolutely. Now, which one was the one with the guy and he was flying in the air? Was that Lost, or am I thinking about a different one?
Genau.
I'm trying to remember all these
Da kriegt man
titles. They were
mittlerweile
so good.
Probleme. Was war denn
But
jetzt
that
was?
one looked exciting too.
Maybe Last Oasis. Last Oasis was the one with like the cool airships that everybody's pedaling, and it kind of takes place in a desert-esque atmosphere. So it might be that you were thinking of. But yeah, really, really fun trailers. I'm glad to see everyone in chat getting hyped for some games. Next up on the showcase today, our next guest is one of the creative minds and developers behind this small little indie title that some of you might know, called Among Us. And on March 31st, a new map, the airship, speaking of airships, is dropping into the game. So let's go ahead and take a look at the trailer for the new map now.
Ja, Among Us ist schön. Wie gesagt, kam ich nie dran. Es gibt ja sehr viele, die das spielen und hypen und finden das mega, mega geil und witzig, aber ich hatte da nie die Crew gefunden und gehabt, dass ich da sage, okay, lass uns das spielen. Das ist
Welcome, recruit. Get yourself acquainted with the layout of the Top-Hat airship. Enough slacking, go do your tasks. You may need to take a ladder to get to certain areas, or maybe just take a nice shortcut. Quit grouping up. Choose a room to start in after a meeting. Someone keeps trying to sabotage us. Stop their plan. Keep your eyes peeled. We definitely have an imposter here.
so schnell geht's.
Hello, Victoria. How are you today?
I am great. Thank you for having me.
Of course. Thank you so much for being here. The chat is so hype. Like, they are moving so incredibly fast. I think everyone is beyond yes, I think everyone is beyond excited, not only for Among Us, but this new map coming out. What can you tell us about the airship?
Yeah, so the airship is actually dropping in like 5 days. Oh my goodness, 5 days. So it's very soon. Yeah, it's going to be our biggest map ever. It's going to come with an account system. We have some free hats coming with it, as well as some cosmetics that you can buy. There will be all new tasks. There's going to be ladders and moving platforms. It's going to be hopefully a lot of fun for everyone to play with, and we are really excited for it to finally be out.
Can you tell us, for those of us that really like to play imposter or get chosen as imposter, can you tell us what the venting system is like? Is this going to have a fully connected vent system for that pro level play?
Oh, you know it. Oh, I'm so excited. I'm so excited to see how everyone gets around to murdering each other.
Toll.
I
Ja.
cannot wait to.
Möchte ich auch
in the
unbedingt
best
sehen, wie
way
andere
to
sich
murder my
umbringen.
friends. But with that being said, I
course.
thought it was really interesting from the trailer that after meetings, you're able to select what room you spawn back in.
Yeah,
pretty
so
cool.
you know it's going to be a lot of fun. It'll like definitely change up the strategy. And if you spawn in the same room as the imposter and it's just you two, good luck.
I mean, whoops. Do you have any pro strats for people encountering a map that has dual level play?
Yeah, just run as fast as you can. just trust no one, run as fast as you can. You know, all that kind of fun stuff. Yeah, it's going to be a lot, and we hope like in the future to make bigger lobbies so you can have more players. But that's going to be coming in the future. So.
That's exciting. Now, I did recently learn that the airship is going to be the biggest map available. Does that mean that there will be new tasks available as well, or new death animations maybe?
Yeah, so there's going to be all new tasks available, and there will be one near death animation if you buy the additional cosmetic pack that comes with it. As you can see, it's based on Henry Stickmin, which is another game that we made in the past, so there it is. It's Right Hand Man's kill animation, so we're hoping people have a lot of fun with it.
Oh man, are you allowed to tease what the new hats are?
You saw lots of it in the trailer, but we will have some new free hats, such as a unicorn hat, like a little heart, some angry eyebrows,
Yay, wir
zipper,
brauchen einen Einhornhut.
a chocolate ice cream hat that is definitely not poop.
Ich meine, die Idee
It's
ist witzig,
definitely
klar, aber
chocolate ice
ich
cream
kam
and
bisher nie
nothing
dran.
else.
Not poop.
Definitely doesn't look like anything else.
Thank you for specifying. But with that being said, do you have any personal favorites about this new map?
Honestly, okay, so I know I don't know why I'm so excited about ladders, but I am. It's just like something, it's just so simple, and there's really nothing that special about it, but I just love the like simplicity of ladders just everywhere.
I think that's cool. I'm
Simplicity
excited
or
too.
complexity for the players. So I wonder, you said this is going to switch up people's strategies. How much are you watching gameplay? Are you watching streamers to say, all right, here's the main strategies that people are running with right now that would consider themselves, pro level at Among Us, because there are people out there who are very good at this game. How much of their gameplay do you watch when thinking like, oh man, we need to switch it up?
Oh, it really depends, right? So we do try to keep up, and well, there's a lot. Thankfully, we're very grateful to have a lot of people who play Among Us, so that's really cool. But we do, try to keep up and see who's playing and kind of their strategies and see the kinds of cool things they come up with. But within ourselves, actually, like with our game design and with our own like QA and our own play testing, it's really a mix of like our own sensibilities and just years of making games, and also just seeing how the community runs with it.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like things like, visual tasks being able to be on and off, having the taskbar fill immediately, stuff like that it's kind of like through playing it, you're like, oh, this could be tweaked. Oh, this could be tweaked. And not just necessarily like tweaked to make the game better, just to give people options of what you want the difficulty to be. And I'm sure Brianna and Victoria, you can both relate to this, but it's like, if I'm playing Among Us with my family members that don't game very often, my settings are going to be very different than if I'm playing with a bunch of streamer friends that are, 24/7 Among Us players.
Yes.
Yeah. Definitely. Yeah, I think the cool thing, right, is just to see all the different kinds of people that come together to play Among Us, right? It's not, we've had classrooms of people playing, we've had families playing. It's been really nice to see.
Ja, ein bisschen die Schüler zusammenbringen, damit sie sich gegenseitig töten. Das ist schön. Oder zumindest einer tötet sich ja nur, der Rest versucht ja. Hat mir was von diesem Werwolf halt.
To maybe kill someone on a ladder or one of those moving platforms, or is that off limits?
Unfortunately, it's off limits, but the fact that you thought of that, I'm like, all right, someone's ready. Someone is just ready to kill on these things.
I can see it now. Stack kill on a ladder. Story mode bay.
I know. Oh my goodness. just plopping on the floor. just push it off the moving platform.
Right.
If it happens, we know who is sus. So I have to ask you, Victoria, how much do you play Among Us on, like, I would say a weekly basis? Are you like, hey man, this is my work, I kind of need a timeout in my personal life, or are you just 24/7 in the game?
Yeah, because it's my work, I try to separate it. Like, I'll play it for charity and stuff. But the thing is like, I'm not actually a great imposter. Like, Forrest, who's our programmer, accurately called me out for being an imposter because no one was dying. Like, I was too anxious to kill everyone. So I don't really play it in my off time, but for work, obviously I will.
Fair enough, fair enough. And speaking of work, I mean, I just have to say, I feel like the team has been incredibly busy within the last year. How is the development team doing? How are you all doing, kind of transitioning into this high demand for the game?
Yeah, we are. I mean, one, we're grateful and excited, and we wouldn't trade it for the world or anything. But wow, we are tired and anxious. It's been really like wild to see the reactions to it and just like playing catch up with everything. But with the launch of the new map and with the account system, we're like, we've kind of caught up, so we're hoping that we can get more regular updates out and, you know, talk more. But it has been a really, really wild 2020 and 2021 at this rate.
Yeah,
Extremely.
I bet. I see Reash45 in chat says, thank you to the devs for this game. And I'm trying to keep up with you here, chat, but it's going so fast because there is so much hype. To see you, Victoria, and to have you answer questions here live on the stream is just super cool. And to get a preview of this new map, and I'm sorry, I just laughed at that murder ball animation that just happened right there. But yeah, the airship looks super cool. As you mentioned, it's coming in, what, 5 days now? If people did want to... Yeah, if people want to pre-order or get their hands on any of this content, or at least ensure that they will be getting their hands on this content on the 31st, where can people do that?
Well, the great thing is, if you've already bought Among Us, whether that's on PC or mobile, it will automatically update. It's a free update. It will be there for you on March 31st. And then in 2021, it will be coming to Xbox consoles. I don't have a specific date for you yet, but that's the news.
Dun, 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 dun.
I'm very excited about it coming to console for sure.
And with
Das
this
meinen sie hier
console,
nicht
can
dabei.
you say whether there's cross-platform play as well?
Yes, there will be cross-platform play because, you know, you want to play with all your friends.
Das ist wunderschön, aber ich weiß nicht, ich konnte da nie dran und ich weiß nicht, ob das jetzt so mein Spiel ist. Ich kann mir gut vorstellen, dass es richtig viel Spaß macht, vor allem mit Freunden zusammen. Hat halt ein bisschen was von diesem Werwolf. Einer ist halt der Böse und tötet alle und du musst halt rausfinden, wer es ist. Aber, sorry, da bin ich gleich gerade so ein bisschen am Einpennen.
Totally, yes. So you can find us on Twitter most of the time. So that's twitter.com/AmongUsGame. You can also find us on Discord at InnerSlothDads.
Awesome. Well, Victoria, thank you so much for stopping by the ID at Xbox Showcase today. Thank you for coming by Twitch Gaming. And
oh Gott, das sind wirklich Indie-Entwickler, die haben es geschafft. Die haben es geschafft, mit den kleinen Spielchen richtig viel Aufmerksamkeit zu bekommen. Und ja, machen dann halt noch extra Level und sowas. Es wird einen zweiten Teil geben und wir bringen es überall auf Konsole und sonst wo raus. Das läuft.
Everybody always thinks I'm the imposter, even when I'm not, and I don't know why. Apparently, I'm super sus all the time. But you know what? I'll take it, and then we'll adjust my strategy accordingly. And what kind of imposter are you, Story Mobe?
You know, I like to say I'm strategic, but sometimes when that imposter title flashes across the screen, it's like I kind of black out a little bit. Maybe I get a little hungry and crazy with power. And I'm just like, yes, the first person I see, oh yeah, that's who I'm going for. And all my little plan just goes out the window. I panic sometimes. It's fine.
I try my best to have a nice clean kill when you can like get somebody alone and then vent out of there real quick. But it doesn't always work that way. You know, sometimes you have a kill and then 3 other players walk in.
It gets
and
messy.
I've watched it happen. It's the luck of the draw sometimes, but the more clean kills, the better. All right, folks, we have so much more show left today in the ID at Xbox Showcase. Death's Door devs are up next, and then more exclusive gameplay trailers. Huzzah! And again, just a lot more content to show you. So don't go anywhere. We will be right back.
Ey, wie lange geht das eigentlich? Ich meine, wir sind jetzt hier bei 2 Stunden schon. Ja, 2 Stunden 11. Okay, die haben ja immer diese Interviews dazwischen, die gehen halt immer ein bisschen. Kann ich teilweise halt nicht so viel zu erzählen, weil das sind halt nette Fun Facts oder halt Fragen über das Spiel, keine Ahnung, ist halt nicht so geil. Es stand jetzt drin, glaube ich, im Kalender, dass es bis 9 Uhr geht. Wird es wirklich bis 9 Uhr gehen? Ich dachte, das wäre irgendwie so ein Platzhalter. Aber holy moly, wenn es jetzt nochmal 2 Stunden geht, da werde ich ja wahnsinnig. Aber ja, ich bin ja jetzt schon platt. Es ist schon. Ich bin natürlich gespannt, was da noch gezeigt wird, falls da noch irgendwie neue Sachen revealed werden. Ich meine, wir hatten jetzt hier Lost Oasis. Lost Oasis war, oder Lost Oasis ist alles durcheinander. Ja, nee. Hat mich irgendwie nicht so ganz gerockt. Das RPG hier von den ganzen RPG-Machern sah interessant aus, hat mich aber auch nicht direkt mitgerissen. Aber hier dieses Lost Islands, das sah eigentlich ganz cool aus. Obwohl ich da jetzt nicht so ganz sicher bin, was ist das? Du hast ja diesen riesen Character-Designer mehr oder weniger, wo du dann deine Figur da designen kannst und dann ist es trotzdem irgendwie nur so ein Taktikspiel. Also da bin ich mir nicht so ganz sicher, was das jetzt eigentlich am Ende sein wird. Also, das wird noch interessant. Also, und ich glaube, Last Oasis ist ja out now, aber ich nehme zur Konsole rein. Ja, es wird jetzt noch ein Interview geben mit Death's Door. Ich habe den Titel nicht so ganz gelesen und was ich halt gelesen habe, 12 Minuten. Ich hoffe, bis dahin halte ich durch. Ich habe gestern noch die Future Game Show mitgemacht, die um 22:45 gestartet ist und war halt relativ spät im Bett. Ich war dann noch ein bisschen wach. Habe auch gar nicht die Nacht so lange geschlafen, deswegen bin ich gerade ein bisschen müde. Und bei so Interviews, wenn halt nicht so viel spannende Sachen rauskommen, dann wollen wir schon so ein bisschen die Augen zu. Ich hoffe, ich halt durch. Und ich hoffe natürlich, dass jetzt hier richtig viele interessante Sachen kommen, wo ich mich natürlich auch ein bisschen einbringen kann, wo ich was zu erzählen kann, die auch spannend sind. Das wäre cool. Ich habe nicht das Gefühl, dass die jetzt hier großartig Game Pass-Titel zeigen, die es schon gibt. Also Spiele zeigen, die es schon gibt, aber die jetzt einfach nur noch in Game Pass reinkommen, weil es ist ja schon eher so ein Showcase von Indie-Spielen, die jetzt noch kommen. So, weiter geht's.
Hello, everyone. Welcome on back to ID at Xbox Showcase right here on Twitch Gaming. Coming up, we have very special interviews with the developers from Death's Door, interviewed by Stallion83 and Technique. Is going to be able to chat with the developers behind 12 minutes. Ooh, yes. This is a good show.
But first, streamer Stallion83, like you said, will chat with the devs behind the new game Death's Door. So in Death's Door, you'll be playing as the Crow, where reaping souls of the dead is all part of an honest day's work. But the job gets lively when your assigned soul is stolen and you must track down a desperate thief to a realm untouched by death, where creatures grow far past their ex-purity and overflow with greed and power. Let's take a look at this trailer now.
Ja, bin mal gespannt. Ja, so geht's mir auch. Okay. Wir sind also in einer Welt voller Krähen. Und wir haben, wenn ich das richtig sehe, ein schönes Schwert auf dem Rücken und... Okay, jetzt geht's los. Hat wieder so dieses... Hat einen Roguelike-Charme, oder? Von diesem Dropdown-Menü, also Dropdown-Ansicht. Aber der Stil gefällt mir, der Grafikstil. Sieht alles ein bisschen smoother aus. Ja, aber auch nicht so das innovativ Neue, oder? Würde ich definitiv mal ausprobieren, aber
Now,
weiß nicht.
that was very cool. I'm Stallion83, with me today, Mark and Dave, and they are here to talk about Death's Door. Thank you guys for joining me.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah, thanks for having us, yeah.
No problem. So, I want to know about the crow. Like, that is... he's awesome, he's a badass crow. I want to know the inspiration behind it.
Er ist definitiv ein Badass Crow mit einem Schwert auf dem Rücken und der jetzt hier durch die Dungeons rennt.
They encapsulate the
Und alles
themes of the
niedermetzelt.
entire game, really. They're it's kind of a dark, kind of mysterious bird, but they're also pretty cute and kind of funny. So we decided to make the
Das ist
character
eine gute
grow,
Mischung,
and
so
as soon as we
eine
did that, the game started coming together.
Really, really cool. So, what can you tell us about the story in Death's Door?
So it's set in a world where... Oh, got a bit of lag, sorry. It's set in a world where nothing dies naturally anymore.
Cool.
So this group of crows who work in this office that we saw in the trailer, they are in charge of reaping the souls of the dead and maintaining some kind of order in this world. You obviously are one of the crows, and you get sent to a place where nothing has died for many centuries. So as you can imagine, things basically escalate from there.
Very cool, very cool. So is this a roguelike? To me, it looks like a roguelike, or is it an RPG? What type of game are we looking at here?
It's not a roguelike, so it is just one storyline.
Okay,
It's
das ist schon
single
mal
player,
gut.
so you'll play from start to finish.
Bei
and it's
Roguelike haben wir
the
jetzt schon so
entire
oft.
experience. It has some light RPG elements in it, so with the combat system you can upgrade your physical
Damit haben sie mich
strength,
doch direkt
speed,
schon mal
and basic stats like
schon mal
that. You
eher
can
am
also
Sack.
find new weapons along the way. And out in the world, you'll have loads of different secrets to discover as well. So if someone wants to like 100% the game, there's like a lot of juicy secrets in the world for them to try and find.
Speaking of like 100%, what are the achievements looking like in this game? I have to ask you that question. It's mandatory.
Nice. Well, yeah, that's part of it, because we had so much fun making this game with so many secrets and so much like little touches and different things you could do. We had a lot of fun coming up with the achievements as well. Probably, I think one of the most fun ones, at the very start of the game, you can actually pick up an abandoned umbrella.
Ja, witzig, dass da alle hier so Krähen sind und die alle einen normalen Job haben. Und wir sind halt die coole Krähe mit dem leuchtend roten Schwert und machen jetzt die Dungeons platt. Finde ich eigentlich eine coole Idee.
So that might be the most challenging achievement, that one right there.
May well be, yeah. I haven't even attempted it myself, so I can't even comment on that.
Oh, wow. So, with a game called Death's Door, are players going to die a lot in this game?
There'll certainly be a few deaths to have to go through, yeah.
So
it's just
is it
the
hard
kind
as
of game
nails,
where you...
basically?
I wouldn't say it's hard as nails. Like, if anyone's played our previous game, Titan Souls, that would be described as probably hard as nails. But this is a bit more forgiving, a bit more accessible. But we still think it will present a good challenge for anyone who was a fan of the old game.
Yeah, I think this one is certainly
Ja, nicht ganz so schwer machen, dann spielst du da keiner durch. Ich meine, einige mögen es ja richtig hart, die spielen halt die ganzen Souls-like-Spiele, aber ich brauch's jetzt nicht ganz so hart.
Hitting a wall with like a really ridiculously hard boss, you don't just have to keep trying over and over again. You will have options you can do, different things you can do to prepare. So you might want to go and get more souls, which lets you upgrade your stats a bit, enhance your play style, or you might want to go and search the world for various secrets. So there's alternate weapons that you might feel more comfortable with, and you can also find upgrades for all the abilities that you have access to. So yeah, we want people to be able to take different approaches and overcome challenges in their own way.
Okay, so what can you tell us about the combat system, and how many different weapons can we use in this game?
I probably won't say the exact number of weapons, but there's a few to like change up your play style if people want to play with a more fast-paced, or maybe they want to use a big heavy weapon. And the combat was kind of inspired by games like Hyper Light Drifter, maybe a little bit of Hotline Miami. It's kind of like fast-paced, and you have to play quite reactively to your surroundings. Like things can change a lot. You just have to be on your toes all the time.
And we were also really careful to make sure that all of the moveset that you have is very fast, very fluid, very responsive. So every action you perform, it'll be executed within very few frames of you pressing the button. So you have that kind of nice, rapid fluidity that gives you what you need to overcome any kind of challenge.
Yeah, it looks incredible.
Yeah, you want
like
to take the same kind of
before,
reactive.
Incredible. Sorry, go ahead,
Yeah, you want to
Mark.
take the same kind of reactive interaction with like Titan Souls, like pixel art.
Also ich mag es ja echt, dass die dann nochmal ein paar mehr Szenen zeigen als nur ein Trailer.
Okay, so what about replayability?
Das sieht eigentlich doch relativ cool aus. Das sieht ja jetzt schon aus wie so ein Bossfight.
I think like the first thing I would recommend doing
fette Kröte oder was das ist. Ja, ist eine Kröte.
When they're starting and when they finish the game, then the first thing I would suggest is to continue that save, because we actually let you carry on afterwards, and there's loads of secrets to uncover in the world, loads of different things to do. Like we were saying before, it's a really fun one to 100%. And then beyond that, then because we've got this kind of light RPG system, you can go for a different build if you wanted to replay it. And it does change quite a lot, so you can focus on something that's far more speed.
So langsam wiederholt sich jetzt wieder ein bisschen, aber macht ja nichts. Wir haben ja noch ein bisschen was gesehen.
And range and that kind of thing. So yeah, I think
würde mich interessieren, finde ich eigentlich ganz cool. Das ist halt jetzt die Frage, wann es rauskommt, und ist die Frage, ist es ein Game Pass? Aber ich glaube, es ist nicht ein Game Pass gewesen.
Looking at like, what is this right here on screen now? Is that a castle boss? It looks really awesome.
Yeah, that's technically a mini boss, actually. I mean, mini is probably not the right word for it, but
a mini boss, yeah, so mini sieht da aus.
So there's a handful of good boss characters in the game. As you progress through, you kind of the core bosses have their own storylines that develop, and you kind of interact with them a few times while you're on your journey. So by the time you get to them, you maybe know a bit of their backstory, and you're going through their area of the world, which is kind of they've left their mark on the world.
Yeah, we really want to show how these bosses have adapted to the strange situation that's going on in this world, and how they've become these like overly powerful beings, and like Mark was saying, how they've affected the world around them. So there's a lot of kind of, each chapter of the game has a bit of build up, learning about this boss, potentially even meeting them, and then when you do get to the bosses, it's like a culmination of that chapter and our opportunity to up everything to 11 basically.
Cool. So when
aber es sieht auch smooth aus, also
their hands on this game?
Ja, wann kommt's raus?
We're actually pretty far along with it. We're almost content complete. We're just polishing and we're fixing bugs. So we're hoping to launch this summer.
Awesome, man. That sounds great. What about like DLC? You guys got anything planned for DLC down the line?
We're focused on making sure that. Sorry, yeah, we're focusing on making sure that the core experience is a full, satisfying thing where, you know, if you want to explore when you're playing the game, you know that that world is entirely realized. There's nothing we're waiting to add later. So
Das ist aber ganz doof, wenn du halt schon Sachen eigentlich quasi aus dem Spiel rausschneidest, nur um sie dann später als DLC zu verkaufen. Das finde ich ganz cool, dass sie sagen, okay, nee, wir wollen das ganze Ding rausbringen.
You know, more information about this game, where can they find the updates for this?
They should follow us on Twitter @AcidNerve, and we'll be sure to keep everyone updated.
So you're just two guys, right? Two guys make this game. Is that correct?
Yeah, we handle quite a lot between us, but we also have an art team. So we have this awesome team of a couple of concept artists and a 3D modeler who work with us as well. So it's them who've created all of the assets that we need to bring our ideas to life. But yeah, we wear quite a lot of hats between the two of us as well. It's quite a good collaborative project where everyone has a lot of creative input.
Okay, that's awesome. So the noir world, when the trailer starts out, are we gonna be in the game in that, or was that just for the trailer? Is that like the hub or something?
Yeah, that acts as a hub world. So as you progress through the game, which is one like consistent open world to explore, you'll find these like keyholes which you can unlock, and they kind of introduce shortcuts back into this hub world. So the actual main world is like this color, overgrown, like interesting place. Then there's the office where the Reapers work, which is kind of a noir, it's kind of depressing, bureaucratic environment.
Yeah, in the trailer I saw like tombs floating. What's in the tombs?
They were probably the doors. So
the doors. Was it a bunch of doors?
The place that the crows work, yeah, it's called the Hall of Doors. So basically, the way that the crows do their job of reaping souls, they have these doors which can lead them to any place. So that's how it functions as a hub. You can use the doors to travel.
Da muss man mal nachgucken. Waren das jetzt wirklich Türen oder doch eher das, was ich gesehen habe?
Well, thank you guys for your time. I appreciate it, and we're kicking it back. Thank you guys so much.
Thanks very much for having
it.
us.
Thanks.
Oh, Death's Door. Oh, these look good. Now, I do want to say first, shout out to all of the developers, but especially these smaller studios. My goodness. I mean, they were even saying between the two of them how many different hats and how many different roles and responsibilities they have to create these amazing games. So shout out to all of you, because, oh my gosh, I can only imagine how hard of a job that is.
So much. Yeah, just a team of two. Way to go, Mark and David. Love to see it. And chat was really loving this one. I was trying to pull comments out as we go. I saw Monkey Dwala says for real, instant buy. I am Orvanas. I'm sorry if I said your name.
Ja, aber es ist, finde ich, cool aus.
Love the dark mood. GG.
Jedenfalls ein Spiel, wo ich mal reingucken
tons of
werde.
love in chat for the black and white atmosphere when we saw kind of the black and white atmospheric scenes, and I definitely want to know more about this world that they're fleshing out. I think it really, really looks cool. I even saw some people in chat saying potential future game of the year. So definitely loving that. Again,
Ist jetzt schon aufzurufen. Da kommen ja noch ein paar Spielchen.
For sure. Up next, everyone. Oh, I'm excited about this. Have you ever wondered what it would be like battling dinosaurs with guns? Or are you hoping to learn what kind of weapons you'll get to
Extinction.
use in S.T.A.L.K.E.R. 2? Our next batch of trailers will provide many exciting updates to games we're all dying to play. I see you guys in the chat moving. Let's take a look at some more new gameplay trailers. Here we go.
Yay, haut rein. Es ist Second Extinction. Wir machen ein Ballerspiel und jetzt bringen wir noch Dinos mit rein. Weiß nicht. Ich meine, das ist noch was anderes, okay, aber Dinos sind jetzt auch nicht mehr so kreativ und neu. Nee, also, wie gesagt, ich bin ja sowieso schon kein Shooter-Fan und die, okay. Aber selbst im Game Pass brauche ich es irgendwo noch. Würde ich es ausprobieren? Weiß nicht. Einfach so vielleicht mal, aber es hypt mich nicht. Ich bin kein Shooter-Fan und ganz ehrlich, die Prämisse, dass da jetzt Dinos drin sind, bekommt mich trotzdem nicht.
We thought we could keep everything safe. Protect everything that mattered.
Die sehen komisch aus.
We were wrong. What was the difference between the people on the inside or the outside? Neither of them gave a damn about the beings that power our way of life. trespassers are the same, murdering living creatures for a tiny piece of honor.
Okay.
We are the caretakers.
Nee, hat mich jetzt auch nicht. Oh. Na, zumindest etwas.
Indie-Creates and Sunsoft present the final piece.
Sunsoft, die gibt's noch.
A metal attacker embarks on a brand new adventure. The side view
Oha.
down action.
Das sieht ja richtig nach 8-Bit aus. Ja, das sind so diese Pixelspielchen, wo alle meinen, dass es Indie-Games sind.
Is about to begin. What new threats await him in a new dimension?
Okay.
The pinnacle of mutant blasting action.
Blaster Master.
Blaster Master 03.
Oha.
A new chapter in Blaster Master history unfolds.
Ich habe noch nie von Blaster Master gehört. Ich muss direkt mal googeln hier.
Indie-Creates.
Aber ich weiß auch nicht, ob mich das jetzt direkt abholen würde, aber es sah schon mal nicht so abschreckend aus, sagen wir
Hi,
mal so.
my name is Zach, and I'm in charge of PR at GSC Game World. We made the original Stalker trilogy, and now we are developing Stalker 2. The 23rd of March
Jetzt
marked the
kommt Stalker
anniversary
2.
of the first game in
Yeah.
the series, Stalker Shadow of Chernobyl. Celebrating the date, last year we released the first in-engine screenshot of Stalker 2, followed by the first trailer and the gameplay teaser. That was our way to celebrate 25 years of making games here at GC Game World. This year, we have an anniversary gift for our fans as well. It's an update on Stalker 2. It's not as big as a new trailer just yet, but we hope you will enjoy it. Let's start with something familiar, yet completely renewed. And here is the first look at the updated costumes.
Okay, ja, wir kriegen Kostüme. Jo,
The zone is a
ich habe
dangerous
Stalker
place,
nie gespielt. Ich habe noch nicht mal eine Ahnung, worum es da drin
different
eigentlich geht, aber es scheint auch
Freedom
eher wieder
and duty are two iconic opposing
Survival-Shooter-Dingsbums
See the
zu
zone
sein.
as a free, ever-growing state, while the second ones would eagerly sacrifice their lives to prevent its spreading. These ideologies will never meet the agreement. As you may have guessed, you will see them in the sequel. The recognizable design for each faction has been enriched with details.
2,5 Stunden, Freunde.
If you look
Heiliger
closely,
Bimbam.
you can see scuffs, scratches, and sticking out threads. Please keep in mind, the models are still work in progress.
Ich meine, es sieht schon richtig detailliert aus. Ich meine, jetzt wenn du kaputt oder sowas, du siehst halt die Textur wirklich von dieser Jacke und sowas. Das ist schon echt
You
cool.
can expect
Also,
to see more factions in Stalker 2. Let's move on. The reception of Stalker 2 has been extremely positive so far, and we are truly grateful for that. Thank you for your passion and your interest. Stalker 2 is a shooter game, and you can't imagine it without the guns, right?
ja,
Here are
Shooter,
a couple of guns
jo.
you will see in the game. The arsenal
Ja, guck mal, das wäre vor 10 Jahren noch nicht
different
möglich
weapons.
gewesen. Die kleinen Kratzer
First,
mit
there
drauf
will
und
be
die
lots of
Reflexion.
modifications for each gun.
Das sieht halt schon echt. Tja, let's rock. Ja gut, die wollten halt irgendwas zeigen. Die wollten zeigen, alles klar, Stalker 2 lebt. Stalker, es wird entwickelt und wir haben cooles Zeug vorbereitet, aber wir haben halt noch keinen Trailer, deswegen zeigen wir euch einfach mal, woran wir arbeiten. Das ist auch nicht so verkehrt, aber es sieht halt cool aus, aber mich interessiert es halt nicht. Das ist das Problem, weil ich halt weil ich Stalker halt nicht spielen werde, weil es ein blöder Shooter ist und ich kein Shooter-Fan bin. Aber es gibt ja genug, die jetzt sagen, ja, was erzählst du von der Scheiße? Das Spiel ist richtig geil und ich freue mich schon richtig drauf und für euch ist das hier. Ja, damit ihr schon mal sehen könnt, detailliert, mit was ihr dann quasi durch die Gegend schießen dürft.
Finally, let's finish with something completely unexpected. We work a lot to fill the world with a decent amount of memorable details, and sometimes it takes us to completely unexpected grounds. Can you see this guy? Quite a charmer, if you ask me. But let's take a closer look at his teeth.
Ja, der Detailgrad, der wird schon richtig nice.
The tooth is gone, or changed,
Oh
or
mein Gott.
replaced with a dental crown. All made with our custom teeth tool, one of the many plugins we use in the development process for specific changes like that. This
Das ist jetzt der
tiny
nächste Shit, ja.
accent ensure each
Ich kann jetzt die
character
Zähne wechseln, ob ich jetzt noch echte Zähne
Literally
drin habe oder
every
nicht.
human in Stalker 2 has one of a kind smile. Or green, I suppose. And that covers up our news for today. Please subscribe to our official
Das
social
ist jetzt der
channels
nächste
to
Scheiß,
receive
ja. Ich kann meinen
up-to-date
Charakter
info
nicht nur
about
jetzt
the game or ask any questions.
anziehen, wie ich will
We would
und
be pleased to
Proportionen
share
anpassen, wie ich
more
will.
about Stalker 2,
Ich kann jetzt die
including
Zähne
gameplay
wechseln.
demonstration later this year. Until
Okay.
then, good hunting, Stalkers.
Das ist gut. Das ist sehr gut.
Wee. My gosh. I
Yeah,
mean,
my
there was
gosh.
so much hype in the chat for Stalker 2. I mean, wow. I'm blown away. For those to be a work
bin
in
da leider nicht dabei
progress,
bei den
they were
Hype-Train.
so detailed. My gosh. What did you think about that,
Es
Trisha?
sieht gut aus. Es ist sehr detailliert. Ob es in Spiel dann genauso sein wird. Keine Ahnung, aber ey, The Tease, was ist das? Das ist jetzt der heiße Scheiß oder was? Das ist jetzt das Selling Point des Spiels. Ich kann die Zähne auswechseln.
Realistic and fantastic. We got an in-depth look at some of those weapons and that tooth customization. Super realistic and definitely unexpected for me. I saw 667 Delos in chat says these graphics are so dope. WTF sexy headphones, which I love. Your name, your Twitch name says absolutely cannot wait to play this game. Yet I hope that the devs take all the time they need to make it right. So
Absolutely.
I saw a couple people in chat saying like, take your time, let's make this the best game ever. And yeah, it was cool that
Ja, die sollen sich schon Zeit nehmen beim Entwickeln. Es ist schon echt doof, wenn die da hergehen und sagen, oh, du musst jetzt aber
Absolutely. And I love
zum
what you
bestimmten
said
Zeitpunkt fertig
too.
werden.
I feel like it is so
Da kommt halt meistens dann nur
important
Crap
to give
raus.
developers
Also,
the time
ich
that
denke, bis
they
Cyberpunk
need to
2077
push
richtig
these
fertig wird,
games
das dauert
out
auch noch ein
and allow
bisschen.
them to do them properly. I know
Und ich
there's
finde es
so
auch
much
gut, dass
hype
die gesagt haben,
behind
alles
so
klar, wir
many
bringen jetzt
different
Halo
games,
Infinite
but
nicht direkt zum Start
developers are
raus, Hauptsache
people
es
too.
ist
They need
draußen,
some
sondern wir
time.
nehmen uns noch ein
They
bisschen
need to
Zeit,
get the rest that they need.
damit es dann auch
Give
das
them
Spiel wird,
some
was die Fans
time.
wollen.
And don't worry, you guys will be happy. Just a little bit of patience.
I'm always a fan. I will be patient and I will wait for the game to be awesome. So again, thank you, Zach, for that update. Up next, streamer Technique will sit down with director Luis Antonio about his new game, 12 Minutes, an interactive thriller about a man trapped
Da bin
in
ich
a
jetzt wach,
time.
Leute. Da bin ich
Let's
jetzt
take a look at
dabei.
that trailer.
12 Minutes sieht nämlich richtig gut aus und das scheint, oh ja.
I want you to think of a flower. Look at its contours, its curves. Now I want you to imagine it changing. Moving.
Ich mag halt auch diese Zeitschleifen-Dinger, wo du halt wirklich ausprobieren musst, wie komme ich weiter und dann überlebst du und dann hast du eine Möglichkeit gefunden, wie du denn kommen kannst und dann erwischst dich irgendwie anders da. Das ist schon echt, das mag ich, das finde ich echt cool.
May you be free from fear. May you know peace and joy.
Ja, komm nicht so am Arsch. Sag mir, dass das Ding jetzt einfach fertig ist.
Hello everyone, welcome back, and imagine being stuck in a
Ich meine, diesen Trailer, den haben wir schon gesehen. Das ist ja der von letztes Jahr. Sag mir jetzt einfach, dass das Ding fertig ist.
Well, today I have the pleasure to bring in Luis, the director of 12 Minutes, joining me here as Technique, as you guys know. Luis, I am... This game, when I first saw it at E3, I was just like, what is this? And what's happening? Because it reminded me of an old movie called Butterfly Effect a long time ago. I remember seeing it when I was younger, and it blew my mind. Can you introduce yourself and tell the chat a little bit about yourself and about this game, 12 Minutes?
Hey, Technique. Yeah, definitely. So 12 Minutes is is an interactive thriller about a man trapped in a time loop. The whole game happens inside an apartment. You come home from work, you're having an evening with your wife, then this guy shows up. He accuses your wife of murder, and then he attacks you, you pass out, and then you go back to the start of the evening. And then you have to use the knowledge that you accumulate every loop to try to change the outcome and hopefully break the loop. It all happens inside the apartment. It's all in real time, and the game doesn't really tell you what to do, right? So it's kind of up to you to decide what to do based on what you experience.
I love that. It seems
Ja, finde ich mega spannend. Ich finde es auch cool, dass es halt in einem Apartment spielt. Finde ich jetzt nicht so krass, wenn man sagt, okay, ja, die Location ist zu wenig. Aber dafür habe ich halt viele, viele Möglichkeiten. Da mag ich das auch, dass es halt ein bisschen in so ein Setting ist. Finde ich cool.
So the game, we're at the final stage, like final stages. We're doing QA, polishing, a lot of playtesting, making sure that the game is really smooth, finalizing the music. It's gonna come out soon, very, very soon. Definitely this year. The exact date we don't know yet, but once we do, we're gonna announce it, and it's happening. It's definitely happening.
We believe you. I can see the progress over the years for sure. But we can't talk about the game without going into a little bit more detail about this is a cinematic thriller, so to speak, and it's very interactive. So the most important key components of this is your
Das ist so ein
cast
Spiel,
and
das
the
werde ich
voiceovers
hier
and the narrator.
bestimmt mal
Can you go in a
spielen.
little bit,
Ganz ehrlich, da gehen wir
more
zusammen
detail
ran
about that?
und gucken, wie
So
sich das
the
entwickelt.
whole
Definitiv,
experience,
das wird
because
geil.
the game never really tells you what you should be doing. It's a bit about how you interpret what's happening, and so it's a very personal, intimate environment where it's you with these two other characters, and yeah, so the voice acting is there to really help. Like you gotta connect with these characters and care about what's happening in order to be able to follow the story and see where it leads.
That's a very, very important factor, is connecting with the characters and finding some kind of relatability to feel the emotion.
Es sieht
that
ruhig
your main
aus vom
character
Trailer her,
feels,
es ist
the
alles ein
main
bisschen
characters,
ruhig,
I
aber
should
ich
say.
denke, das ist ein cooles Teil.
Talking about relatability, everything happens into an apartment, so the control aspect of this game has to be very important. So what kind of controls can we look forward to, the accessibility of controls in the system?
So for 12 minutes, I wanted to. It's kind of a point-and-click game, but a bit cleaner than the old ones where you never quite know what's going to happen. You have objects in the apartment, like on the trailer you can see he picked up a knife, there could be a mug, there's the plates. So anything you can pick up, you can combine with other characters or with yourself. And then there's things you can like open the door, close the door, and it might seem that it's not that many interactions, but each one, the characters react to everything you do. So very quickly it branches out into many possibilities.
Ja, das meine ich. Es ist egal, dass es in einem Apartment spielt, aber du hast halt wirklich sehr, 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 sehr viele Möglichkeiten zum Interagieren. Das finde ich halt ziemlich spannend und cool.
Everything has a consequence, it seems, and it's kind of like a risk-reward system. You know, like eating dinner. What if you pick up a knife and you try to go after the guy that comes in the apartment? You might have a consequence of that. That's really, really cool. I would love to dig more into the story, narrative, and the characters. Now, you have I'm guessing that's her husband that comes home to see his wife, and they're going to have a nice dinner, and somebody's going to come by at some point and accuse her of murder.
Hoffe ich zumindest.
Is there anything else you could tell us about that? Like, I mean, does the husband not know about the murder? Like, what's going on? Are both shocked? I wouldn't even imagine that.
I don't want to say much because it's right, everything you learn will affect how you deal with the situation. So there's not much that can be shared. Yeah, that's a tricky question. There's really not much I can tell about the story.
Okay.
Like I want players really to go in and right, and have a blank slate in how they're going to interpret the situation. But it's pretty
So have an
intense.
open mind, pretty much, is how you need to play this game. I'm assuming, right?
Yeah, like the situations that you're going to go through, none of them. There's no right or wrong, right? For example, let's say the cop comes in and he starts attacking you, right? You could try to fight or not fight, but each option that you choose will branch out in a different direction. So you're always learning, and you will use that knowledge, and the character also learns everything that you've done, and you're gonna try to use that in order to try to change the outcome. So having a blank slate is pretty good for the player, I think.
Absolutely. A lot of the games like this do have a lot of mind tricks involved. But speaking of gameplay and keeping your mind open, how the length of the game, I'm pretty sure people are going to be like, okay, I understand this game is called 12 minutes. Is the game actually 12 minutes? Can you expand on the length of the game and give us a little...
Ja, in 12 Minuten hast du es durchgespielt.
Definitely.
Hast du wahrscheinlich, wenn du es einmal raus hast, wie es
so
geht.
The loop lasts 12 minutes. But for example, when the cop comes in, it's about 3 minutes into the loop. So if this was Groundhog Day, the film is like Bill Murray was dying at breakfast. So once you actually manage to survive the cop, the loop still continues. From playtesting, I thought the game would last about 8 hours, but so far we're rounding up to 15 to 18 hours. So it goes pretty deep until you reach what I would call a satisfactory ending.
Man, 18, you're getting on that 20-hour mark, and I wouldn't even believe in my head that it was going to be that long of an experience. That's really great. This is a single player experience, right? This is no multiplayer or nothing like that. It's completely single player.
Yeah, it's Multiplayer machen.
It's a single player.
Okay, so single player experience.
Keiner spielt die Mörder, juhu.
Once, let's say you solve the loop, what is there to do afterwards? What do we have to look forward to?
So, yeah, I think once you play through, you're gonna have your own experience. I think a lot of it will be talking with your friends and other players about the interpretations of what's happening and how they dealt with the situation and whatever branches they went through. But yeah, this is my goal with this was to make something that's very clean, no fat, and very really respecting the player's time. So yeah, you play once, you enjoy this, and then you're done. It's not like those games you keep playing over and over.
You
Ja
know,
gut, ist halt
I
ein gutes
respect
Buch, ein
that
guter
so
Thriller. Wenn du
much,
es halt einmal
just
gesehen
looking
hast
at
oder
it, it seems
gelesen
like you're
hast,
just
dann
thrown automatically into
gibt's kein
action of it.
Next Game oder
There's
After
no,
Game oder
like,
sowas.
overall huge arcing story that you have to sit and
Das
wait
ist
a
nochmal
couple
Schluss oder
hours
sowas.
before you get to the
Story ist halt durch.
gameplay. I really
Aber
expect that, and I'm gonna
will ich
say
erleben, hab
kudos
ich
to
Bock drauf.
you because, correct me if I'm wrong, you were working on this alone at some point for a good part of it.
Yeah, I was developing this alone for like 2-3 years, and then I partnered with Annapurna Interactive, and that's when we kind of managed to bring the voice cast in and really take this to an all new level.
Wow,
Cool.
That's the lighting, the atmosphere. You really hit on that thriller. It seems like it starts off all peaceful and then things get chaotic and out of nowhere. All the rooms in the apartment. Well, first of all the rooms in the apartment itself. I'm thinking you start on an elevator or maybe you like come into a hallway. Are the rooms available to go into, or is it only your apartment? And if it's in your apartment, can you go into every room and interact with most things in your apartment?
Yeah, so the whole game, what you see the moment the game starts will be what you're gonna have when the game ends. Nothing else will change apart from your knowledge of everything that's happening in there. Yeah, you can go to all rooms, you can interact with everything, and yeah, if you've played before and you start again, you'll have a lot more knowledge on how to deal with the situation and handle things differently. And I would say also, like, the reason why it's so small and so tiny is actually to allow your actions to have very clear outcomes. You know, like, if you imagine the loop was 24 hours, you'd get lost about doing a bunch of things in sequence in order to know what was going to happen. But by compressing the experience to this level, right, if I lock the door, I know that maybe the cop won't be able to get in, or maybe he'll do something else. And in a minute, you're back at the start, and you can very quickly see the outcome of your actions, and makes it pretty intense, too.
Seems like a lot of thought process has been put into the game, and I really like that feature as well. of not giving us too big of a loop, so we can just really
Das ist
hone
halt,
in. Because
ich
a
habe das
lot of
Gefühl, das
games,
ist eher so
especially
ein
RPGs, give you so much
intelligentes
information in the
Spiel,
beginning,
wo du wirklich
reading
mit
all this stuff, and you tend to forget
durchprobieren
the
und
core
überlegen und
product of the game
ausprobieren.
itself. So having us in that loop is a very, very good idea.
Will ich direkt,
Are there
scheiße, warum
multiple
dauert das so lange?
endings? You know, I'm not asking for details. You know, I just want to know, you know, you could solve a loop one way, but is there multiple ways to solve it?
So when I started to work on this game, right, that question kept coming up. I kept asking myself, how do you end a story that keeps repeating itself? So the answer is there is what you can call a conclusion, but it doesn't match what you would expect out of a linear experience, right? When you see a movie, you get to the end, you get the credits, but this is interactive and you can participate. So what we call an ending is slightly different from what usually movies do. So you will reach a satisfactory conclusion, I think. What that is and how that is, it's kind of different from people usually expect in games.
That's amazing. Lewis, I have to ask, this concept is something that we don't see often in video games. Were there any inspiration that led to creating this game? You said about 2 to 3 years ago you started it. Did you have any kind of inspiration behind it that could lead into maybe even more titles like this?
So early on, there were some pillars that I wanted to work on. Like, so I've been working in games for many years. I've been at Rockstar, Ubisoft, worked on The Witness with Jonathan Blow, and always as an artist. I was always on the artist side of things. And this idea of repeating the same amount of time over and over, which games do naturally, you know, what if that repetition was actually something you were aware of, right? Rather than Tomb Raider, you die, you reset, and you're doing the same thing, but no one acknowledges what's happening. So along with this, I wanted also to kind of take things from the movie industry, like from the cinematic side of things, you know, like for example, like Hitchcock, Rear Window, the way you spend the whole movie sitting in the balcony and interpreting what's happening, or like in Memento, where Nolan changed the order of the scene so that the player feels what the character is going through, right? And as I started to learn to program and make the game, I realized that we do have these tools as a game designers, and we can bring them in, you know, how you interact with the environment, how much information we give you, how the world reacts to you. So it was slowly, each element I would bring in, I would see, is this element in the same language and in the same theme and message I'm trying to convey? If yes, it goes in. If not, I would take it out. So and slowly these things start to grow into 12 minutes.
Wow, so that's really cool. We really don't, in chat, I just want you to understand, we really don't get to hear this side of development, right? We get to see the game and we're like, oh, this is cool, this looks beautiful, and this, that, and the other. But it seems like, Lewis, you have almost like a movie direction or cinematic background, and be able to lay out a game, and you were just doing art side of stuff. I'm pretty sure you took a lot of those tools that you got from all those other developers and brought it into making your own. Do you see yourself making more titles with more cinematic approach? Because I think this is a wonderful avenue that a lot of games typically just throw for cutscenes and not really give us the player experience in.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't call it I think it's cinematic, but I would call it I think it's like the history of games has this background of, you know, you have levels, you have objectives,
yes.
You have coins and goals. I'm like, what if we bring some aspects of it but not others? And I think for this specific experience, I think being cinematic and bring a lot of cues, you know, from films about the way the actors move, the way they talk to each other, the tempo, and everything makes sense. And I would like to keep doing that for sure. But if the next titles would be similar, I don't know. But I think this idea of really paying attention to the elements we bring in, like, for example, the top-down, the main reason for being top-down is so that you can easily navigate in the environment, right?
Mhm.
If you bring first person, suddenly
Man sieht halt auch direkt alles, also man kann eher ausmachen, wo jetzt was ist.
to control the character. But I realized, look, if you just click where you go, and then when you go into an object like the fridge, it goes into first person and out, you keep having all the verbs you would have in other video games, but the simplicity is there. So someone who doesn't play video games can just jump in, as long as you know how to click where you want to go to, it just works. And there's no compromise in the design complexity.
I can pick your
Aber
brain
wenn das wirklich so mit diesem Klick oder draufdrücken ist, kann ich mir das auch echt gut vorstellen für die Switch. Ich meine, die ist doch da prädestiniert
Wow, that is just amazing. So the funny thing is, I love how you chose. I was thinking about the accessibility and what you were saying, because I was like, yeah, us video gamers are going to be, a lot of people are going to just be like, why point and click, where we can experience this a little bit more in depth. But I also love the fact that you went point and click for the simple fact of you get to see the environment that you're in, and it kind of builds a kind of tenseness to it as well. Like when you hit your first loop or your second loop, you know this guy is coming. What do you do? Where do you go? You know, and being in first person, you kind of panic and you lose a lot of that atmosphere effect. Being able to go into rooms, lock doors, and pick apart certain mental puzzles, I should say, to fix it. Now, I really want to know about, before we let you go today, I really want to know about the characters, because they're the most important key components of this game right now, especially the main character that you play. Does his attitude change through the loops, or do you kind of have like a more of a monotone feel? Does he start to realize that he's in a loop and he's like, oh my God, and he gets frantic? Or the choices that you make conversation wise get a little bit more tense or soothing?
Yeah, so that's a really good question. So early on, I kept asking myself, how am I going to convey the progress of the character if everything is resetting, right? I cannot change his clothes, I cannot change, nothing can change, everything goes back to the start, but his knowledge stays. So the idea is that every time that you loop, he will do this journey with you. We try to read the frustrations you're going through, and he will react to those frustrations, and everything that you make him do, he's going to be aware. So for example, when you go talk with the wife, everything you know is what you will every loop you do, everything you do, he will know it and be able to talk and execute on in the next loop. Or if you make him do things that he doesn't feel very comfortable, the more he makes them, the more comfortable he will be making them. So he evolves next to you, and you'll see that evolution the way he talks with the wife. Like the first time, maybe he's very excited to see her. By loop 50, he's like, hey, how are you? What's your day? No. So you see that evolution.
You put that realism in it.
Yeah. And something else we realize is by being top down, you don't see the faces. And by not seeing the faces, first we don't go into this technical challenge of rendering faces, but suddenly the body movement and the voice acting, they elevate the experience, because you're kind of projecting what they're saying to each other, because you don't see exactly what the faces are doing. And it really helps keep this intensity.
I love it. The animation is going to be a key.
Ich auch. Hab jetzt schon Bock drauf. Gib her das Ding.
12 minutes. I could talk to him all day, but unfortunately, I'm going to take up the whole show, and we're not supposed to do that. So anyway, Lewis, thank you so very much for being here. But before you go, my friend, please tell them where they can find you, the game, and every information possible to be able to experience 12 minutes.
So yes, you can go to 12minutesgame.com. That's the website. There's a development blog that I've been writing for like 5 years now. You can, if you feel like you can see the whole progress of the game.
Ich weiß nicht, ob das so geil ist, wenn du den Terror-Blog liest, ob du da nicht schon zu viel Informationen bekommst, die du vielleicht gar nicht wissen willst, wenn du das Spiel spielst.
But just type 12 Minutes Game on Google and you get all these links.
Boom, 12 minutes. Thank you so very much, Lewis, for joining us. In chat, I would love to stay with you, but I gotta go and send it back to Story Mode Bay and Trisha. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Einer der Highlights des Abends, obwohl, wir haben nie so viel gesehen und wir haben auch kein Datum und wir haben auch kein Game Pass. Ich hab Bock drauf.
12 Minutes has been on my radar for a while now. I want to say it was maybe a couple E3s ago, where maybe they first kind of showed us a look at it, but having that really like top-down, very personal and intimate viewpoint on it, plus the intensity of the emotions of what's going on in the loop, I just think it's a super, super cool concept. Has this been on your radar too?
Yes, and it looks amazing. This is exactly the type of game that I have been waiting for. I definitely love to see so much hype coming in from the chat, especially because the concept of the game is so brand new and different. Normally, I feel like people would be a little bit apprehensive, like a top-down view the entire game. I don't know, but there was so much hype, and I understand completely. Like I said, take my money, take my credit card right now. Like,
Take my money, ja. Oder bring's in Game Pass. Ich glaube, das war sogar mal so, dass Microsoft gesagt hat, das Ding kommt halt direkt in Game Pass und da wäre ich direkt dabei. Also,
the concept is so fascinating.
Würde ich direkt spielen.
94 said concept sounds amazing. Well done, guys. And Stud93 said the art design is so beautiful and clean. So a lot to love with 12 minutes. But we have so many other things still to cover. Next up, we have another exciting game from Annapurna Interactive to announce. Last Stop. But rather than show you a quick trailer, the team at Annapurna Interactive were nice enough to send along an exclusive gameplay demo. So after that, we will then meet the creators of the game, Astra Ascending. So right now, let's take a look.
Okay. Was kommt jetzt?
Hello and welcome to Last Stop, a new game from Variable State and Annapurna Interactive. Last Stop is a story-driven adventure game where you navigate through 3 entangled stories that intertwine into one wild sci-fi adventure full of mystery, wonder and danger. Today we're going to show you how this game works by playing a quick sequence from one of these stories.
Okay.
In this tale, 2 neighbours, John and Jack, have accidentally
Gerade sieht's ein bisschen aus wie in Life is Strange.
They must now help each other blend in as they try and find a way to get back to their old bodies and way of life. Let's take a look at how you could play this out.
Ja, das ist doch ein Life is Strange ist das. Aber hey, vielleicht ist es ein bisschen anders da gemacht. Ja, die Steuerung sieht schon ganz anders aus.
Super fab. It's not far from your office, actually.
And people pay you to do this?
Yeah. Some people say game makers are the new rock stars.
Dad, can you put me in one of Jack's video games?
I struggle enough with the oven timer. I don't think this is going to work.
Don't sweat it. I'll walk you through it. Think of me as a master puppeteer and you my obedient marionette.
Don't forget, I need to be taken to school at some point.
Yeah. Now, first you need to find my desk. You can't miss it. It's the one with the robot doing the sick dab. Sneak past Sonia, the receptionist. Avoid any awkward questions. She's a bit dippy, so you shouldn't have any problems there.
She didn't sound that dippy on the phone.
You're mean, Jack.
Ich habe das gerade nicht so ganz mitgekriegt. Warum muss er da jetzt einbrechen? In Super Fab. Ja, okay, das ist... Ich weiß nicht, das sind doch keine Herausforderungen, die du da gerade hast.
Hello, stranger. You look well rested.
Slept the whole weekend. Anyway, I should probably just get going.
Someone's in a hurry.
Get in there, Jack, my son. Good morning!
Derek's in a good mood.
Who the hell was that?
What? Jack, you sure you're not still feeling ill?
He's my boss?
Yeah.
Ich hab's immer noch nicht so ganz.
What do I do when I get there?
Also die haben jetzt... Also ich
It's Monday.
vermute einfach mal, die haben jetzt die Rollen getauscht oder was?
Coordinate with your team on their tasks for the week.
Dad's no good with stuff like that.
Molly's right. I don't think anyone would follow me into battle.
It's simple, trust me. Jonah's working on modelling the last of the cream cakes for Mrs. Clapton's tea shop. Letitia's putting the finishing touches to the AI for the retirement home scene with the shell-shock veteran. And Tobias is writing up the design for the interactive funeral procession. And Maya is midway through implementing Rumble support.
Jonah cakes, Letitia shell shock, Tobias funerals, Maya Rumble.
See? You're a natural.
Der bringt doch alles durcheinander.
Good weekends, everyone? Get up to anything interesting?
Okay. Ich find's ja schon ein bisschen lustig.
So I'm supposed to go around everyone and check what you're all working on. So, Jonah. You are modelling cream cakes, aren't you? I'll take the silence as an agreement. Okay, Letitia.
Ich hab's aber auch wieder vergessen.
You're doing something with AI. No, IA. For retirement homes. Yeah, Sounds right. Okay, Tobias.
Ich weiß es auch nicht mehr.
I'm not sure that's
Aber ich habe es noch nicht ganz raus, was soll denn das Spiel sein? Also wir sind jetzt in dieser Spielefirma da drin, als der andere Typ quasi, weil wir die Körper getauscht haben oder so. Und er versucht jetzt das Team zu leiten und zu gucken, dass da kein Scheiß bei rauskommt.
Even I can tell this meeting is a bit pointless. You all know what you're up to, even if I don't. I guess what you're really looking for is a pep talk, isn't it? Some words of encouragement.
Hmm.
I'm sorry. I thought I could do this, but none of this comes naturally to me. You all look like nice, bright people. You don't need to listen to an old fart like me. I'm sorry that I can't give you anything more inspiring. Maybe I'll just leave you with the advice that my dad gave to me on my 18th birthday. Keep your head down. Don't take unnecessary risks. Stay out of debt. Cheers.
And that's just a quick look at Last Stop. Be sure to check out more updates soon as the game rises to console and PC this year. Thanks for stopping by.
Ja, okay, ich habe es noch nicht so ganz 100 Pro, was es jetzt sein soll, aber könnte ja witzig sein. Astro Ascending. Das war doch hier das.
ですね、普段は日本の大手のメーカーさんの、割と対策みたいな感じの、ロールプレイングゲームのシナリオを書かせてもらってます。
崎本と申します。作曲家と、あとは、サウンドプロデューサーなどをやってることが多いです。あと、ベーシスケープという会社の、運営をしています。代表作は、多分一番有名なのは、
Aber 12er war, weiß ich nicht, mochte ich nicht so. War halt ziemlich nervig.
私は、世界観の設定と、あとプロット、ストーリーと、細々としたセリフまでやってます。はい。
ミュージックディレクターだと思います。はい。もちろん作曲もしています。はい。
ストーリー上っていうか設定上、この星に住んでる人たちは調和の実っていうのを食べてて、ある意味その本能的な部分は抑えちゃってるんですよね。鳥はあんまり高く飛べなくなっちゃったし、猛獣系のやつらはちょっと筋力が落ちてるので、それでなんとか調和を保ってるんですけども、
テーマ的には
そのあたりですね。
nicht direkt schlecht, aber auch nicht, haut mir nicht direkt um.
お話はそうですね、かなりシビアに展開していきますね。なんでその人の大義とは何なんだろう。
Aber rundenbasiert, das gefällt mir schon mal.
何かを守りたかったりして、そういうのってその人間が動くその根本的な原動力だと思うんですけど、その結果どういうことが起こっていくのかとか、そうですね。そういうことを結構突きつけられる感じのゲームだと思います。
主人公たちはデミゴットっていう、その調和を守るための戦隊みたいな感じなんですよね。国民の中から、割とランダムに選ばれて3年間の任期を務め上げる。
ディレクターのジュリアンさんからも言われていたんですけど、とにかくそういうその人間が嫌いになるような感じにはしないでほしい。人間のその可能性をちゃんと信じられるものにしてほしいっていうふうに言われていて、それは多分一番大きなそのテーマなんじゃないですかね。
主人公たちがそのデミゴットに選ばれるまでは普通の人たちなんですよね。それぞれ幸せだったりいろんな問題を抱えてたりする普通の人たちなので、その人たちが、何でしょう、特に仕事として、平和を守るっていうその葛藤とか喜びとかを描こうとしました。
先ほど少し触れましたが、その旋律とかモチーフとかをゲームの中のその音の機能としても使ってるんですね。でも実はそういうのをすごいやりすぎるとだんだん音楽から遠くなっていっちゃうんですよ。なのでそういうことがないようにちゃんと音楽としてもうまく機能するし、サウンドトラックとしても機能するし、あとはそういう記号としても機能するみたいな、そういうところを目指してやりましたので、そこはうまくいくといいですね。僕自身は まあやっぱりゲームが大好きでこの業界に入ってきてるので、
Das ist meistens
ゲー
so.
ムに対してそのこうあってほしいみたいな、それとか、あとは昔自分がその遊んでて楽しかったゲームに対してのなんか思い出とか、あとはその思い出補正入りだと思うんですけど、そういうものがもっともっとこう、もっと素晴らしくこう表現されていていいなっていうか、その世界に入れるといいなって思っていて、それに近づけるためにずっと音を作ってるんだと思うんですよね。なので、このゲームはそういった意味で、まあ、うまくそれが効いてるといいんですけどね、まあ、その辺はユーザーさんの反応を見て、まあ、評価が出されるんじゃないでしょうか。そういうのは、ぜひ味わっていただきたいですね。
まあ私の仕事とは直接関係ないんですけど、絵は綺麗ですよね。あとキャラクターのアニメーションとかが、まあ私なんかこうなんとなくアートを感じるんですけども、
mein Design ist nicht ganz,
皆さ
also
んも楽しんでいただけるんじゃないかなと思っています。
weiß nicht.
何が起こってるの？まさか死んじゃったなんてことはないよね。
Game Pass. Ja gut, wenn es ein Game Pass ist, dann kann man es definitiv mal ausprobieren.
Oh man, how awkward was that poor meeting in the last Stop trailer? Like I felt it in my soul, Brianna. How awkward
Ja,
it was. For
ich
that
auch,
guy.
total.
What'd you think?
I mean, you know what? I really
Interessant ist ja, dass die immer alles cool finden. Egal, was du denen zeigst. Ey, ja, hier, wir haben einen Suppensimulator. Ja, geil, super, will ich direkt spielen. Die finden alles mega, mega super genial.
The
Okay.
trailer doesn't really reflect how the actual gameplay is. So big shout out to them. I am very excited for it, but I'm also very excited for this next section coming up. Now, we've learned so much today about unique indie titles that are coming to Xbox soon. But we know what you guys are wondering at home, myself included. What games are coming to Game Pass? Well,
Ja,
I think
genau.
we have the answer for
Was
you.
kommt in
Let's
Game
take a look.
Pass? Yakuza Like a Dragon. Ja gut, Haven ist schon drin. Super hot. Was ist neu? Celeste habe ich schon probiert. Bin nicht so schlecht für. Haven habe ich auch angetestet. Das ist wieder ein Shooter. Okay. Sieht interessant aus. Ja, kann man dann ausprobieren. Ja, es ist jetzt nicht mein Artstyle, aber wenn es ein Game Pass ist, auch wie Ascent, Ascent, kann man auch mal ausprobieren. Das ist okay. Ja, Omno, nicht Omni. Wusste ich's doch. Aber definitiv. Das sieht strange aus. Kann man auch mal ausprobieren. Komm, nobody saves the world. Der Fishing Simulator, schön. Ja, Little Witch in the Woods, definitiv. Wird ausprobiert. Das Ascent wahrscheinlich auch. Ja. Ich meine, da waren jetzt nicht so viele Spiele drin, wo ich sage, ey, die waren richtig scheiße. Da habe ich überhaupt keinen Bock drauf. Okay. Way to the Woods, okay. Man spielt ein Reh, was alles kaputt macht. Schön. Das war schon geil, dass S.T.A.L.K.E.R 2 direkt im Game Pass ist. Edge of Eternity. Sieht halt auch nach einem schönen RPG aus. Und da bin ich halt echt gespannt, wie das funktioniert mit den AI. Boyfriend Dungeon. Was zur Hölle ist das? Narita Boy, ja. 80 Style. Kann man ausprobieren. Spiritfarer. Super schönes Spiel. Kann ich empfehlen. Noch nicht ausprobiert. Bestimmt. Overcooked macht mit Freunden richtig viel Spaß. Oh, das war Descent oder sowas. Mit diesem Fahrrad. Ja, ich habe das Ding und ich bereue es nicht.
So many great games coming to Game Pass. I mean, like, I've tried to keep track of them all, but they were flying at me so fast. Celeste, Wild at Heart, Nobody Saves the World, The Ascent, and for everyone who's been asking for it in chat, Library of, is it Ruina or Ruina? I know I'm going to say it wrong, but yes, coming to
That
Game
one.
Pass, which is super exciting. Game Pass is so dope. Harrison Ave, I see you there in chat. But yeah, so we've seen a lot of great games today. We've seen a lot of teases, and of course, super hyped. Brianna and I are both super hyped about what is coming to Game Pass. But I just want to take a moment to thank everybody who's joined on the show today. We had Chris Charla from ID
Das war's.
Xbox earlier.
Ja, es reicht auch, ganz ehrlich. 3 Stunden 15 haben wir jetzt verbraucht.
Among Us. Gwen and Trina were here to talk about, from Chikung Club, to talk about Soup Pot. Lewis was here just recently to talk about 12 Minutes. Graham and Ian talking about Nobody Saves the World, which was awesome, from Drinkbox Studios. Zach and Lou were from Bunny Hug, and they were here talking about Moonglow Bay. Mark and David were here from Acid Nerve talking about Death's Door. And of course, a huge thank you to all of our streamer friends and guest hosts who were here today. Kate Stark, Stallion83, Danatage, Technique, and Blind Gamer Steve. You guys were all awesome, and Brianna and I literally couldn't
sehr
have
schön.
done the show and shown you all of these wonderful indie games.
Interessanter Stream. Vielleicht ein bisschen lang.
Brianna, how you feeling?
Oh my gosh, I can't believe we're at the end of our show. This was so amazing to be a part of and co-host with you. I do want to take a minute to shout out to production for holding it down behind the scenes. I know it is not easy putting these shows together and getting everyone in their right places where they need to be. So thank you. We do appreciate you. Now, if anyone's, looking for me on the internet, my name is Story Mode Bay. You can find me on Twitch, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, if you're into that sort of thing. Come by and say hi. I promise I don't bite at all. Now, Trisha, where can everyone find you?
If people want to find me on socials, on Twitter, Instagram, etc., it's that girl Trish with no I in the girl, so just that GRL Trish. Or right here on Twitch, you can find me at Trisha Hirschberger. Just my name. It's like right there. Yeah, right there. But this has been so much fun. If you are an indie games fan, I do an indie games showcase on my channel every Tuesday. But you can expect to see lots of AAAs and stuff on my channel as well. But we have a real good time. Stop on by and say hi to the Dragon Rider Army. And thank you to everybody who's been here in chat, who's been commenting. We see you. Thank you just for participating in the show. And also shout out to anyone co-streaming this event today.
Yes.
I know all the things here on Twitch Gaming are co-streamable. So to all my co-streamers out there, what's up and thank you. So again, just thanks to everyone who was part of the showcase today. I hope you found a new indie game to fall in love with. And we'll see you soon with more great content here on Twitch Gaming. Thanks, everybody.
Bye.
Geschafft. So, und jetzt kriegen wir nochmal einen Trailer. Ja, 12 Minutes, definitiv bin ich dabei. Super geil. Der Store sah interessant aus, bin ich auch dabei. Werde ich auf jeden Fall mal ausprobieren. Schade, dass es nicht direkt ein Game Pass ist. Moonglow Bay, ist ein Game Pass. Probiere ich mal aus, den Fishing Simulator. Rust ist nicht meins, ist ein Shooter. Brauchen wir nicht. Soulpod. Ganz ehrlich, nein. Dafür werde ich kein Geld ausgeben. Nobody Saves the World. Ist ein Game Pass, kann man ausprobieren, genauso wie Art of Rally. Auch wenn es mich ein bisschen an so ein, da gab es das letzte irgendein Hot, bla bla bla, Super Rally. Narita Boy. Haut mich nicht direkt um, aber es ist ein Game Pass, kann man ausprobieren. Exo One ist, glaube ich, das Spiel, was am wenigsten aussieht wie ein Indie-Game. Voidtrain habe ich keinen blassen Dunst bisher sein soll. Hello Neighbor. Bin ich gespannt, wie das funktioniert mit den AI. Omno bin ich auf jeden Fall dabei. Lost Islands bin ich auch dabei. Recompile haben wir gar nicht so viel gesehen, aber werde ich auch ausprobieren. Sieht auch mega geil aus. Bin ich auch dabei. Kann ich nichts zu sagen, kenne ich nicht. Oh Gott, so viele Spiele, ey. The Big One. Keine Ahnung, nein. Edge of Eternity, ja. Loot River. Fand ich cool. Die Mechanik fand ich halt cool. Mit diesen Floatings. Da hätte ich echt Bock drauf zu gucken, wie das funktioniert. Ansonsten, machen wir hier aus. Ansonsten, was hatten wir jetzt noch für Spielchen, die cool aussahen, die jetzt nicht in den Trailer drin waren? Also ich finde ja hier The Witch in the Wood, den fand ich noch relativ cool. Den Wikinger-Spielchen da, Son of Iron, irgendwie sowas. Das sah auch richtig nice aus und hatte ich Bock drauf. Death Door werde ich ausprobieren. Gott, ich hätte mir das alles aufschreiben sollen. Ich hatte jetzt nicht damit gerechnet, dass es 3,5 Stunden geht und so viel Zeug da rausgeklopft wird. Also ich denke mal ich ging von so einem 40-Minuten-Showcase aus, okay, wir zeigen euch so 10, 20 Spielchen. Davon sind vielleicht dann 5 bis 6 cool, also gefallen dir vielleicht. Aber das war eine ganze Menge. Ja, wir haben es geschafft. Was mich jetzt interessieren würde, ey, wenn ihr das noch guckt, irgendwie als VOD, wenn ihr euch jetzt auch einmal durchgekämpft habt, mehr oder weniger, ja, ich bin halt müde, das ist das Problem, dann schreibt doch einfach mal auch in die Kommentare, was für ein Spielchen hat euch jetzt am ehesten interessiert, was würdet ihr kaufen, definitiv. Also bei mir ist das 12 Minutes, das ist direkt Day One für mich, kackegal, ob das ein Game Pass ist oder nicht. Das wird gekauft. Schreibt da einfach mal in die Kommentare rein, was für Spiele euch interessieren. Vielleicht sind es ja genau die Spiele, wo ich sage, nee, das ist nicht meins. Na, wie S.T.A.L.K.E.R 2, wo es ja eine riesen Fangemeinde gibt, oder Among Us, wo ich auch sage, ey, ich kam da bisher noch nicht dran. Vielleicht irgendwann mal. So, ich mache jetzt einmal Schluss. Vielen Dank fürs Zuschauen. Ich hoffe, ihr hattet ein bisschen Spaß dabei. Ich bin froh, dass ich nicht eingepennt bin. Und hoffe, wir sehen uns beim nächsten Mal wieder. Schaut rein hier bei Nerdway. Wir gucken, dass wir immer ein bisschen cooles Zeug da haben über Movies und Games. Ja, also macht euch noch einen schönen Abend, macht euch einen schönen Tag und haut rein. Bis zum nächsten Mal. Dankeschön.